Ladies and gentlemen, we are live, and welcome to the Wrestling for Life Network, the channel that just watches more live wrestling than anybody else out there. Back at it again. We are getting set for AEW All In. It's our previews, our predictions, our rumors, our thoughts. Folks, get in that chat. Let us know what's on your mind. Are you excited for All In? Let's go! Ding, ding, ding. We are live and back at it again, folks. Like I said, we are the Wrestling for Life Network. We are the channel that watches more live wrestling than anybody else out there. Jam-packed couple weeks as we're in the middle of it right now, folks. It's going to be a fun one here tonight. We were supposed to have another gentleman on the screen with us. Anthony can't make it. Our thoughts go out to Anthony. Give him some love, but he will be missed, and we're looking forward to him coming back next chance we get. But thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us tonight. And again, we're going to go through the card. We're going to talk about the rumors. We're going to talk about the possibilities. And we're going to figure out if we're excited and looking forward to All In this Sunday. We will be live for it. It's going to be a fun one on the stream. Brunch with the Boys. If you haven't got your Brunch with the Boys Summer 2024 Tour t-shirt, make sure you get it. It's got all the dates on the back. It's a fun time. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this fine Friday, Junior. We are looking forward to the weekend. Make sure you get in that chat, hit all those buttons. But I will remind you, I am Mr. Evernight KJ White, the Iron Man of YouTube, and that is Big Nick.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Wrestling for Life Network proudly brings to you its YouTube tag stream champions of the world, the Every Night Delight, KJ White. I am Big Nick, and my guys. So do we want to talk about the news that broke first, or we'll get into that in a minute?
Do we want to save it? Do we want to?
I think it'll come up later on, but I think we'll talk about it when it comes up later on because I think that'll make an appearance later on. But I am actually really excited for All In, and I'm wondering if it's how it'll stack up to last year's All In too as well.
Mm-hmm. I think All In last year got away with being what it was, this stage show. It's a big deal, record breaking. But I didn't think the actual pay-per-view, I thought All Out was better than All In last year. Random. So yeah, I was looking at this card today, setting things up, and looking at this card. If it stays like this, you got a good amount of matches. You got time to let some of them cook. Not every match has to step on itself. And in addition to that, I mean, we got a couple kind of throwaway matches, a nice pre-show match, but it's not a heavy card. And the matches we do have, we can debate them individually, but overall, all have a title involved, all have some intrigue. It is a really solid card, so I'm very excited for Sunday.
All have a story, and so far, thankfully, knock on wood, if we stay at 10 matches on this card, it might actually be a pretty solid fit.
Yes.
Because I think there's going to be a few matches that are going to go fairly long, valid with them going long, if it's the right matches. But yeah, I think this really is stacked out pretty well. And like you said, with last year, it was more the spectacle, the festival. That's why it was 80,000 tickets. It was people buying tickets that had no chance of attending the show just to go with the movement. But this now feels like it's become their kind of WrestleMania-ish.
Yeah, a little bit to the point, right? And we'll see what happens next year as they move to Texas. But yeah, this card has a lot of potential. Yes, some of the build for this has been clunky and a little all over the place. And even coming out of last night, like last night for me struggled. It was slow. The pacing of it was slow, long in a lot of spots. Some people talking about Osprey and MJF having like the promo off of 2024, which the back half of it was solid, but it went forever. So there was little details, but at the end of the day, typically with Tony Khan, he's smart enough to at least put the right people in the ring, and we're going to get good matches.
Right. And still, I mean, it's learning. He's learning. We've gone from 15, 16, 17 match cards to now if we get 10 and one on a pre-show, that's at least a step in the right direction. Like you were saying with last night, being up in the best go-home show, but was probably better than a lot of their recent go-home shows.
It was better than last week. It was it was worse than last week. Last week was a better show. That's the only unfortunate part. Like, again, there was just holes in it. We opened it flat. The Britt Baker Mercedes angle. I just don't feel like that's been booked right. I feel like the heels in AEW are always running away. And what we talked about last night on the stream was, who are the big bad? Like, you bring in Camille, she gets pushed around. You have the Redwood, he gets pushed around. You have, guys like the Gates of Agony, they lose to everybody. Butcher sucks. Like, it just, and I love him, but he's booked like garbage. So, I mean, again, it's just, you need some really strong heels, and we're lacking that right now.
Well, could we see anybody, and I'll ask this question knowing what we know, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Could we see anybody that hasn't been announced or anything like that potentially show up at All In, like one Bobby Lashley or anything like that?
Possibly. I mean, again, I think we'll talk as we go along about some of the potential surprises, but that's what you always love about a big pay-per-view, is what could happen. I mean, there's a couple open spots on the card as far as the Gauntlet match has, TBD. The trios, Fatal 4-Way Trios ladder match has a TBD on it. So
we'll talk about that when it gets there. Wikipedia is terrible for spoilers. I'll just say that.
Wikipedia sucks, but I tried not to spoil it.
I will try not to anyway, as
well. Let's say hello to some people. Isaac, welcome back. Alexis, Roman. Remember, folks, get in that chat. Say hello. Don't be quiet. Don't be shy. What's up, Richard? What's up, Trey, Damien, Joe? You guys are repetitive sometimes. Eric, what's going on?
Just saying hi to each other. We got a family conversation going on.
Joe Black back in the house. How you doing? AJ, welcome back. MDB, always a pleasure. Good to see you. Mason Beasley, welcome.
Right. Well, there was one from MDB that I actually liked. I got to find it here.
There's one from MDB.
No, he said you had your glasses on, so it means you were down to business here.
There you go.
KJ has his glasses on. He means business tonight. Absolutely.
Right. Spoiler alert for everyone out there. It usually means the opposite. I was too damn lazy or tired to go the extra step. So, but hey, I'll accept that.
Right.
Dale quickly saying, and then we'll move on to the actual card. But get in that chat. We will ask your opinion on the upcoming matches. What are you excited about? What aren't you excited about? And we will go from there. But 698 last night, down from last week. And again, that I know we're trying to go for moral victories. I would want to see that come up if I was running the company. I want to see that higher. I know there's. What's that?
I'm just very it's interesting because again, now they're throwing out it was against the Democratic Convention. It's always going against something.
It will always go against something.
Right. It's still not. It's not bad. It's not when it had that random spurt of 520 or something like that. But at the same time, we were mills to 9s to 8s, now 7s, close to 7s. A good victory. I will really just want to see that number keep going up.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people as well are trying to spin the narrative as far as Wembley goes. And again, it's this defensive. Scott D'Amore had a really good quote because he was asked about the difference between the WWE relationship with TNA and NXT and AEW's, and he's like, they both happen. They were both do we really have to yes, there's pros and cons to both of them, but they both happen. Just can't we just be happy they both happen?
Exactly.
And to an extent, right? And again, it's kind of a lot of fans on their heels of they got to rush to the aid of the company of big celebration, 50,000, just sold more than some WrestleManias. And yeah, it's amazing. The only reason it doesn't feel like, holy shit, you did amazing, was all the bragging you did about a much higher number 12 months ago.
They're a little bit like that picture of the guy on the podium that's down there, a little bit further down, just celebrating the shit out of it and everything. And it's a great accomplishment.
Yeah.
Just, you don't got to shove it in people's faces and like that when it's not as, I don't know, it's not as big as it even was last year, like you said, but you're going to hold your head up on that. Yeah. And it's still great, but you don't need to constantly, the comparables is where they get in trouble with.
Well, I mean, again, it feels very defensive. It feels like they're trying to get ahead of it. Before anyone says, ha ha. I think it's amazing. As a wrestling fan, I'm pumped. But I know if I was a hockey player or a baseball player or whatever, an athlete, if I got 80 goals last year and I only got 50 goals this year, I'm going to be a little bummed out. Like if Matthews is 30 less goals next year, I'm going to be pretty bummed out as a Leaf fan. And I mean, so it's hard to celebrate. You're like, oh wow, 50 goals, great. That's a huge milestone. But last year you got 80, bro. Like last year
I
you got
get that,
80.
but for me, like I said, it feels like he's finally starting to. It's learning. It's finally the learning curve. The learning tree is coming all the way around a little bit. Right? Yeah. Well, he might be smoking the tree, but at least again, we've got a trimmed down card. They still did 50. They still did 50 without it being this big movement. With the whole discussion being that AEW's kind of cooled off overall as a whole, and still did 50 is still good. So
it's still good. It's still good. Again, I'm excited at the concept of going to Texas next year and perhaps being able to sell it out, like pack it the way you had Wembley last year. Like again, when you're in a big place like Wembley, that number of it, it will mean something. Like you'll feel a little different. It's harder. We know what stadium shows are like as well. Already trying to project the excitement through the TV. It just doesn't pick up the same way. So we'll see. But again, good card, 10 matches. I hope they don't add, like we're days away. Tony, you're almost there. Just like someone tie his hand so he can't grab the pencil. Like we need to get to the all in with 10 matches, solid matches. And even the ones I'm not thrilled about have potential to be fun to watch.
Oh, absolutely. Like just get across the finish line. But like you were saying, it made me think of this earlier when you're like, it's still good. It's a little airborne. It's still good. It's a little money. It's still good.
But ladies and gentlemen, I will remind everybody before we get into our actual predictions and our preview for the show, I will remind you we're here on Sunday. I believe we're going live at 11:30 a.m. on Sunday. Brunch with the boys, 13, 12?
I don't know at this point, my guy.
We're getting up there.
Well, I think we're stuck at 10 for a good minute. But yeah, I think we're well past triple digits. We're getting closer to, quarter mark there.
There we go. So folks, be there, wake, bake, whatever you got to do. Bring your snacks, bring your breakfast, bring your square sausage and your Scotch pudding if you got it. Bring it all. But we're going to have a fun one. It's going to be a good show. And we're here all day long on Sunday. So we're looking forward to that. Do not miss out.
Absolutely. But so do we want to get into the card? As I've seen Christopher and Trey and Roman and Gilly and all of them show up in the chat. Hi. But pre-show match, do we want to talk about that? Of Statlander and Bivens versus Ishii and Willow.
Not much to say on this one. It's again a bit of this whole storyline kind of went sideways. I'm fine with this being a pre-show match. Nobody really cares that much anymore, unfortunately. I think Willow deserves better, but and so does Stat. But here we are.
Yeah, what do you think? It's again this booking for this whole feud's been backwards, been terrible, been just so misplaced and so rushed. It feels we've had the Owen match, we had the CMLL title match, we've had too many of the singles matches. This should have been a singles match on the show, or even if you had to have something on the pre-show. Granted, maybe we could have slid a gauntlet match to the pre-show, but we'll talk about that. That this could have been Willow versus Statlander and meant something and been an impactful part of this feud. And now this feels like this feud's already ran its course, and now we're just clutching at straws to keep it going.
Yeah, and again, pulling in, I don't mind like somehow Bibbins being drawn into this, but Ishii makes no sense. It's out of left field. Other than they both kind of worked in the same company prior. Like they really, like you said, grasping at straws to make it come together, but it's a pre-show match. I just felt like Statlander should have went up in the card and went after your main title. And I think Willow should still very much be heavily involved somewhere in the TBS title. But this, to me, I talked about it last night where Tony's still struggling with the women's division and presenting them well. So for my money, I'm going to go Willow, sets up the story and allows her to get the match. So Willow and Ishii have to win this.
Yeah, Willow's already lost her title to Stat, all of that. And I think Bivens takes the pinfall. I almost want to say that Bivens gets pinned by Willow. but I also don't exactly think that they'll allow that to happen. But I mean, it's AEW. But,
oh, they will.
Yeah, but I think it's 100% Willow and Ishii get their win here. Bivens gets his comeuppance. Statlander's already won the title. She's already won enough in this feud. Like, you would have thought this would have been Willow winning out in this feud because she's the babyface, but the heel won out. So
so far. Yeah, it's very interesting. And one thing AEW does love doing is like that double pin, double submission. So it could be very much of like Willow, like Stat and Bivens take the L. Very symbolic as AEW does very often.
Yes. But we've got
80% are going Willow. So
I didn't know you had a pull up. Okay.
Poll's always up, my guy.
Pause on that. We got to salute the poll, folks. Salute the poll. Oh, Canada.
Oh, we went Canada. That's even better.
John Sands, Team Stat for the win on the pre-show.
Yep.
RM Willow and Stat's feud feels like an afterthought. Facts. This is their second pre-show tag match since their feud started.
True.
The people want Hangman versus Double J. I thought we were getting this on this card.
We'll talk about that. Well, let's talk about that when we get to we got a lot to talk about with this gauntlet match. But
that's going to be a long conversation.
Adam Page put himself into the gauntlet match last night, but I do want to have a conversation about it because I'm actually advocating for one Adam Page right now. So
I hate
the company. I'm advocating for the Hangman.
There we go. Well, Switchblade saying, "Hey guys, I'm new here. You guys are awesome. I'll definitely be tuning in to your next stream. Well, that'll be tomorrow night, and then Saturday, and then Sunday, and then Monday,
Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, we got more. We
do this all the time,
folks. Stay tuned. We got some new exciting things coming your way as well. So, and everything's always changing. When they start copying, we were a step ahead.
They thought that they raised the bar. We are the bar. Yes, we got to salute the poll. And Ishii don't even have a neck. Can you pin the man that doesn't have a neck or shoulders? It feels
it's very hard to pin a turtle. Yes,
my neck turtle enough for the Turtle Club.
And it's definitely you have to put him in like an ankle lock. Like honestly, you can't choke him out. You can't bear hug him. Like
you gotta just work the lower extremities.
Yeah, he's a walking tree stump. He's fucking Mr. Potato Head. He's
a stone pit bull.
Yeah, and listen. I know I'm razzing him. I was a big Ishii fan. I love him. Why are you here? There's so much talent we could be seeing instead of Ishii.
Is it a thing though that we talked about, or you mentioned the TNA and AEW deal, but there's the AEW New Japan deal, but it's always the same guys from New Japan. It's never, Tanahashi. Well, Tanahashi showed up at Forbidden Door, but that's it. It's been a lot of, Ishii. It's been a lot of Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah,
in the kind of same run of these New Japan guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it was cool. I remember popping big for Suzuki. Holy fuck, Murder Grandpa's here. Like,
right, Kahine.
Right. 3 years later, I'm like, and here comes Suzuki with his stupid haircut again. Like,
right, he lost a fight with a weed whacker.
Shit. So again, pre-show match should be decent. I mean, again, it's going to be gimmicky. Bivens is going to make us laugh. Willow Ishii seems to be the heavy favorite for this one.
Right. I'll just at least ask, do you think it stays as the only pre-show match?
I fucking hope so. Like, I mean,
I can deal with at least another pre-show because they normally go like the WWE length with their pre-shows. So more than one match helps.
Yeah. You know what? I won't be too mad. Again, it all depends on what it is, but I could see like Top Flight getting a match thrown in there. Maybe. But again, quality over quantity. And we will get very shortly to a match where we debate that.
Right.
What?
No, I was just going to mention who I could see potentially being on a pre-show that I think Tony mentioned on the media call today is like the Von Erichs. Getting them involved with All In. So like they could maybe have a tag match or a trios match or something, get Dustin on the card. That wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, if you give me a couple decent matches, plus we're just kind of shooting the shit during the pre-show, I'm okay with it. I just don't need it to be, I don't want 14, 15 matches, and I definitely don't want in the neighborhood of 3 to 5 matches announced on Saturday or on Friday. Like, dude, that's part of the issue here, Nick, is If you haven't told us it's on this card yet, don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, I could take like one, maybe two more matches on the pre-show, depending on how long they go. But like come on, at least it's not on the main show. And still at least probably one. I mean, this will probably go a good little bit, but yeah.
Talk to the hand.
Well, there you go. Well, Switchblade saying he's going to All In. Well, bring a sign, sir. Bring a Wrestling for Life Network sign, sir.
Do it.
Just tell everybody, all 50,000 people, just say you're going to take their picture and just hit that subscribe on the YouTube.
Right. Do it. But next match on the docket, and we will talk about that as well. That's a very good question or comment, Christopher. This is obviously my match to omit from the show. This is not a pay-per-view match. This is not an all-in match. This is an example of hurting yourself. This card looks really pretty. Leave that. You're going to give us a 5-minute Fozzy concert followed by a fucking 11-minute shit show, garbage, bullshit match. But we might see Taz get physically involved.
I think we'll probably see Taz, and I forgot that they announced that they're gonna have Fozzy perform here. You are beautiful on the inside. Well, I probably sing just as good as Jericho, but
remember
this is your go to the merch store. This is go and get you, you go take a piss, go have a smoke, go take a walkabout match.
I encourage the British fans to bring tomatoes and save it for the Fozzy concert. Nobody was listening to Fozzy in 2024. 23, 22, 21, 20.
Who was ever listening to Fozzy?
Never. It was never a thing. And even Jericho now. See, this is where someone gets to inflate his ego, and he's right at the grand scheme of it all.
Fozzy is the fetch of music. Stop trying to make Fozzy happen. Sorry.
Right, but like, well, Fozzy is one of the bands that can say they played Wembley twice. There's an asterisk to that.
We followed up Taylor Swift at Wembley.
Right? Fuck. But yeah, I mean, last year they tried to make Osprey a heel in England so he could do the Queen tribute. What are we doing?
Yeah, this is
right.
It's So do we want to just run through this? If it's clearly going to be Hook winning this, by the way, I don't think either of us are taking Jericho.
No, and then Jericho's going to tell everyone how I put Hook over. You had no fucking choice but to put.
No, I think he's dragged this kid down. He has 100% dragged the shit out of this kid down because this guy was out there talking about, could he end up going to WWE even? Could he, he might be the next young prodigy, the next homegrown talent out of AEW and everything like that could start going up the rankings and everything, and was out there looking like a badass. Even then they put him with Samoa Joe, which does Samoa Joseph show up for this match potentially?
That'd be nice. But everybody, the Hook, Taz, all.
Well, you're gonna get Big Bill, which, spoiler alert, I've at least heard, and I know we'll watch Collision on Saturday, but I've heard the UK crowd was Big Bill fans, 100%, at least in Cardiff. He was big over.
Okay.
Then again, they probably thought that Enzo was going to come out with him, so that's probably part of why he was over.
We like Big Bill. Big Bill.
I think Buddy Morrissey's fantastic.
Yes.
He 100% should be a guy that should be towards the top of the card, and he's another guy like fucking Wardlow that's just been misused, mishandled, used and abused, and left fucking hung up.
Wardlow hasn't had a match in 190 days.
It's insane.
Like
most people would consider if you don't get called into work or have to show up for work for 160 days, you don't work there anymore.
Yeah, you don't work here. Like that's what I mean. Like I said it before, where I almost felt like with certain wrestlers. And we'll get there, but like it's like a quota. Like they have to work every so often, or their contract's null and void. So every once in a blue moon, somebody pops up. But yeah, no. Listen, as a AEW fan, to make sure everybody that hears this understands, as a fan of the show and the company, omit this one. Save it for Dynamite. Save it for Rampage. Save it for Collision if you have to do it. But this match should not be on the card. It is not a pay-per-view match. It was garbage. Dax Harwood has a really good match with Tommy Billington. So who's next up to bat? Because there's buzz about Tommy maybe signing.
Was he just signed? Yeah.
Here comes Learning Tree and made him look like fucking hot garbage for 11 minutes last night.
This needs to be the end of Jericho. This is the final coup de grace. You have your little concert at Wembley. You have your, final send off. You get choked out. You get, sent away by Taz and Hook and everything. Right. Don't you put that evil, Bash. Don't you put that evil on me.
One day I'm going to bump into Jericho. I'm going to bump into Jericho at like a fucking Tim Hortons and shit's going to be on.
You got to throw down. Just got to run them pockets, my guy.
Shit.
You got to run the fade. But it's just, he's such a fucking like toe hitch. He's a fucking black hole of charisma and talent at this point. He's sucked down Brian Keith. I remember losing my goddamn shit on this stream when Brian Keith sat there and showed up and was part of the learning tree. W. Morrissey, like I think MDB brings up, had something going with Ricky Starks, who's on his way out. He's
it was pointed out again today that Ricky, we love Ricky. He's still under contract. It'd be really nice to see him used. It's like, wait, like you said,
you booked the show. Yeah, right. 316. Jericho needs to stop wrestling. 100%. This man was brought up even on trial and on charges. He still has yet to, follow through with his conviction. But he's just been a black hole. He's brought everyone that's been involved with him going back to Action Andretti. See, he dragged that kid down so much I almost forgot his name. That has literally just destroyed any momentum that they've had. I still think you have to have this match because this is still, you pay it off, you send him on his merry fucking way. Here, Chris, you had your big moment, piss off, you lost. Thank you. We can send you off into the great beyond. And still, you need at least something that go and get your merch, go and get, go to the loo, as the English say, go take a walkabout.
Yeah. No, Jericho said in an interview, I think it's funny that they were telling me to retire. Why would I do that? I have a 6-pack and I can do a moonsault.
No, you can't. Neither of those are true, Chris.
That was his answer. He does not what the fuck are we?
He's looking more like his, Commander in Orange, more and more, sounding more like him day by day. It feels like that. And I still remember, I brought it up in court of this man said in an interview, if people were clamoring for me to retire, I would listen. And I would know that that's my time to walk away. Is this man deaf? Can this man hear?
Yeah. Or I would find a way to truly reinvent myself, but I would step away. And I think that's become a problem. And I know this is long-winded, and we'll move on from Jericho because we're all picking Hook. I didn't even put a poll up for this one. But it's sad, dude. This year, we're going to see Brian retire. Next year, we're seeing Cena retire, and we still have 6 more years of Jericho.
He's the fucking groundhog of wrestling. If Fozzy comes out, we got 6 more years of Jericho.
Jesus Christ. I can't wait for his Mick Jagger days. Jeez.
Hey, bro, he's already in them. He's in them Keith Richards days. You're amazed he's still kicking.
Right? But yeah, I mean, again, if it was a quality match, I'd cheer for it. I was a diehard Jericho fan. I'm a big fan of Jericho. I got to call it the way I see it. And it's this, to me, you do need the payoff if you're going to go this far. But none of this should have happened. Hook should be fighting a guy like Ricky Starks in a heated rivalry that matters. But that's me. But go Hook.
No, that's fine. Well, Jason, I just did want to at least say hi, and we acknowledge your comment and everything. And we actually talked about this in a group chat of sometimes it's better to let sleeping dogs lie, and you don't have to spoil everything for everybody.
I blame the company, though.
That's fine. Either way, sometimes it's better to have a surprise. And I think they at least
100%.
They needed good momentum. They needed good publicity going into this. And I think that was tactical.
I think that's why a lot of these stories, and it's a constant for AEW, they're not confident enough. Tony's not. B, Tony's like a kid, so he can't wait to tell people. And C, it is that if you wait and he shows up as a surprise, you don't get those extra buys.
You don't get the bump in tickets. You don't get the bump in pay-per-view buys. So I think this was a really smart play. And I'll admit, I thought the entire opposite way and was out here saying it's been all fine on the Western Front. Oh, until he shows up, you don't believe it? Fair enough.
SRS has been wrong before. And again, when all these when you flip through Twitter, when you go through Instagram, and you keep seeing the same stories by multiple sources, you think, oh my God, this has to be true. Everybody's saying it. Everybody's quoting the same one motherfucker. So I'm
It's been
not
a bad
saying
week for Dave, but anyways, yeah.
I'm the guy that didn't believe Cody was going to show up till I heard the music.
You didn't believe the purple peck, my guy.
I didn't. I still struggle.
You're a purple peck denier.
I'm a purple peck denier. Yeah, no. I think we'll get there. We're almost there.
Fair enough. But yeah, Keyshawn recognizing I was using Tech 9. I'll take Big K, Keyshawn, but I think it'll be a great battle. But yeah, moving on. Trios for the Trios title.
Yeah, so this became a fatal 4-way somehow. What?
I was just going to mention again, Wikipedia is terrible at spoilers, but so I know it's TBD.
Who's the TBD?
It is Pac and Claudio and Wheeler Yuta. No, so that's why I wanted to bring it up, because to me that very much shows that the Lucha Bros were supposed to be in here. The Death Triangle was supposed to be in here, and they're clearly not. So that's the thing, is that's the spoilers. Pac and BCC as the wild card. Yes, that was on Wikipedia, so that's why I wanted to bring it up. I know we don't want to do spoilers normally, especially when we're going to be here watching it, but that's to me big, because that shows that that was supposed to be Death Triangle in here,
right? Yeah. Okay. So yeah. No. Again, if it's out there, it's out there. I don't like spoilers. We are a spoiler-free zone, but I don't want to surmise and guess at who could be the fourth team for the next 20 minutes, and then for nothing. Would have never guessed that one anyway. Why? What's the relationship between Pac and
because Moxley's on a hiatus, and because Pac's losing his tag team, and Pac's British.
Why not Top Flight? Like poor Pac. I feel like I haven't felt this bad for a Pac since '96. like honestly, this guy got bumped, like literally just knocked off, like he was driving down the Sunset Strip minding his own business, or the Las Vegas Strip minding his own business. But it literally, he was supposed to have a title match, so now he has a trios title match. It is fucked.
It's really
insane.
It more says because A, we've got to get Pac on the card. B, because Moxley's on a hiatus.
Why not bring him back for the show?
And this was supposed to be the Lucha Bros in here, because again, this isn't a ladder match. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people in a ladder match. What?
So there's going to be no run back for Claudio and Okada?
Mm-mm.
No,
not at current day, not at present moment. At time of recording, there is no Claudio Okada run back on All In. Now, granted, that could be All Out, because we still have All Out.
Well, Pac is fighting the winner of MJF Osprey, so it's going to be really weird. Like how this MJF Osprey match is going to be interesting. By the way, if anybody was wondering if Osprey was going to win, they did give it away last night, so that was a done deal. Thank you. Silly writing. It's similar to other things that happened, but nonetheless, fatal 4-way. We'll stay on topic. The Patriarch, who I don't feel like again, the trios division's wonky. I haven't seen them do much. However, what Christian did to cause this was hilarious. House of Black, I didn't know was even being booked. What do you think?
What do you think about Bang Bang?
White returns.
Maybe his name's come up a bit of or people mentioning his injury status and everything, and how close he may or may not be and everything.
That Tony will use a guy, even like what we saw with Adam Cole, is if he's healthy enough to run out there, they might let it happen, and he doesn't have to be fully cleared as long as he's not participating.
Valid. Well, in this case, it would work. Granted, there's 12 people going on. But to me, I think it's a little. Well, I was going to say, it's been interesting to me since Copeland and Christian's feud, the Patriarchy's momentum has just gone the way of the dinosaur, pun intended. But I'm going House of Black with this. Honestly, just because I'm surprised that they actually got put into this. They've kind of had a momentum. They were supposed to be doing something with them once Copeland, before Copeland got hurt.
Before Copeland broke his leg. Yeah.
Right. So I think that there was a plan here. So they probably ride that out. And hey, we can get, Buddy Murphy, tweeting again more towards Rhea and everything, and we can play that whole thing up.
Right. The fourth team is KJ, Nick, and Anthony. Good to see you, Clay Lewis, by the way. There you go. We would be taking the
I'm going Road Dogg and just hanging in the corner.
House of Black's, House of Black's not a bad shout. I don't know. They just never seem to get what they need. I know they've had the trios belt before, but they've been booked so odd. I think Jay White returns and the Bang Bang Gang get their belts back.
Fair enough. I mean, they were pretty much the best trio to recently have it. And it's interesting. You kind of have 3 heels and a babyface team.
A little bit. And do you find that Juice has been very quiet? Like, Juice was one of the coolest guys on AEW programming, and then he got hurt, and we barely see him. I know he's on Collision, but
also kind of giving him ADD medication because he's just really like calmed down and shit like that when they do see him.
Right? Was it a headache?
Sedated a little.
I want to be sedated.
Right.
Fox's favorite song, bum bum bum. Poor bastard. I don't get the fourth team because I thought maybe this was an opportunity. I said jokingly last night of like maybe it's the time splitters. Like you bring Kushida in with
we talked about that. Honestly, we talked about that during the members only stream.
Yes. So I thought that was kind of funny, but again, these teams, even like the conglomeration of just this random mix of athletes that make no sense of why they're together at all.
To me, like I said, the biggest thing with why you get the team of BCC and Pac is you've got Pac on the card. It's in the UK, Newcastle upon Tyne, all of that shit. And that very much tells me absolutely that the Lucha Bros were supposed to be there too as well. And Tony just didn't have anything really, like he just, in case of emergency, BCC.
That seems to be the go-to of like,
that's we really got what it is. Moxley had a whole fucking title run because of that.
Facts. Yeah, you got a valid theory there. This really could have been where the Lucha Bros were supposed to be.
To me, you don't do that outside of that because then you do, like you said, a top flight with, especially when now they come out with the pilots gimmicks and everything. They can we just flew in. Layla Gray can cause a distraction.
Our arms are exhausted.
Right. We've been flapping all day. All right.
We'll skip that one. This I don't get. So we had a 20-minute time limit draw that doesn't lead. We all assumed
All Out Wednesday.
So Okada's not on participating at All In
currently right now. As to what I have on Wikipedia, I don't know if that's what you sourced for the card, but I'm sort of saying Wikipedia again. Take it for what you will. Okada. There is no Okada. There is no Claudio. There has been no adding of a match to the card past last night or anything. There was nothing from last night.
And I don't think you're going to if you have Claudio slated for this match. He's not going to do double duty. So again, we went through a 20-minute match for nothing.
Well, do you get stupidly Okada comes out here and costs Claudio and just he randomly gets involved, which then awkward. You could have just had the match, but yeah. I don't know. I don't fully understand this. But yeah, I'll go Bang Bang. You're going Hobbs. So Bang Bang into the room. I'm going House of Black. Again, I think that there was something going on with them very much before Copeland took a big fall like Humpty Dumpty. But so I think that there's going to be something to that. I think the patriarchy's kind of flat at this point. Bang Bang Gang, maybe that's the feud between Bullet Club Gold and the House of Black going forward. So I don't mind that. Like, I would be all the way for a Malachi Black Jay White match. Christ, even a Buddy Murphy Juice Robinson match, I'm all the way for those two as well.
Yeah, there's something there. And I honestly think both the Guns are highly talented tag team that have been buried
in that tag match that we're going to talk about later on.
Yes. I mean, you can use these. You need the people with personality on your main show. Like, when we're sitting through a Wednesday night watch, again, this goes back to my argument and why I know everyone's probably sick and tired of me beating the shit out of Jericho, but this is why I'm frustrated with Jericho, is if you take Jericho off the show and you slide in one of these other people that we're not seeing, it's so much better. So much better.
Do trios help and hurt wrestling, and especially wrestling shows? Because you kind of lump, like Juice and the Guns, like you just talked about right there. Now you've lumped 3 talent that all have personality into one segment, when you could have Juice be a singles competitor and the Guns be tag competitors, and they still all can be cool with each other. They don't need to be going fucking for a title all the time and be fighting every match together. You can split them up and you get personality throughout the show.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the problem with the trios division, especially in a company where, like, your high-end talent, there's a big drop-off between your high-end talent and your low-end talent. No offense to anybody, but there is a drop-off. But to me, they've cannibalized the tag team division to make a trios division, and now neither one of them are overly great.
Right. It's going to be 9-man cast. Keyshawn, it's going to be 12-man chaos, because you forget there's another 3 added into that, right?
36% are going the Patriarch right now.
Really? That's
yeah.
I mean, there is still something there. It's just, to me, they're not where they were, not even close to where they were.
Yeah. No, they're really not. It's very interesting. But on to the next one, a very compelling one. There is story built into this. They've tried to build it up. Even Taco Bell's been involved. We will find out what you think. But yeah, definitely Jack Perry taking on Darby Allin in a coffin match, which, if anyone saw the main event last night, holy flat finish, Batman.
Quesadilla Perry taking on Darby Allin here.
Quesadilla Perry.
We talked about it. Christopher mentioned it earlier. There's the rumor going around that Sting's going to accompany Darby, potentially be involved, or Sting will at least be president for this match. Does he potentially get a running? Like, Sting has this weird history with coffin matches now in AEW, which would never seem to be really his like gimmick. Happen. That's like a Taker thing. Yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen. Sting's going to pop out of a fucking coffin, and the place is going to go nuts.
Fair enough.
I can almost
get a glass spot. Do we get a glass spot?
I almost think you have to.
Really? Like, so, how would you do it?
I don't care. I just think Jack Perry. If Jack Perry thinks he's a badass and wants to continue to kind of whine, I think, why not? I think Tony Khan would be sitting there laughing like, this is going to be great. And yeah, they should throw him through a pane of glass. Just throw him through it. I don't give a shit. It's a coffin match. So it's going to be chaos.
So is this going to be like the holy sugar honey iced tea of they're just doing everything? Like, these are people we have seen set on fire, go through multiple panes of glass, and have to get stitched up mid-match to finish the match. Like, is this the wee woo match of the night?
It really could be. I mean, Jack's trying to prove himself as a badass, and Darby, we've already known that this man is just insane. Even taking bumps to buses. The only thing that got in his way has been Everest. But I mean,
he didn't. That's the thing. He didn't sell a bus.
He didn't even get a chance.
He didn't sell a bus hit.
No, didn't sell a bus hit. Just walked it off. So yeah, right. I expect this to be one of those, like, what is Darby going to jump off of? Who's he going to land on? Sting's going to pop out of the coffin. The question for me is who wins? And I think they tipped their hand. But who wins?
Oh, I thought you were about to go first there. Okay.
Okay, I'll go first.
You want to go first? Go first.
Sure. Darby Allin, to me, has to win this.
Okay.
And the only reason I say that is you have him set up as the #1 contender for a show in the future. Unless you plan to have Jack Perry works himself into a triple threat, you have to have your #1 contender go over.
See, I almost think it for the exact opposite reason that Jack Perry wins this match.
Oh, okay.
I think that because you don't have the TNT belt on Darby, because when's he going to lose it then? So you're going to have champion versus champion at Christ. It's the Long Island show that they always do. Why am I blanking on the name? Grand Slam. Thank you.
Oh shit! You know what? Fuck.
All right, I think it's Jack Perry. They're building him up with this. But still, Darby can do with this. Darby can do with some time off. Darby can be real belt. Like Darby's out here having tag matches with fucking hologram.
Yeah.
Like Darby's gonna be Darby. Darby's gonna be good either way. The Sting aspect to me gets interesting to me because does Sting help Darby win or anything? But
see, I just don't like the idea of Darby losing this and his reward for well, I guess he loses to the TNT title and ends up going after Swerve or Bryan for the world title. Like to me, and again, maybe it's just a lack of foresight in your own booking, which not a shocker. But yeah, that's where I struggle of like, but you're right. You're right. The minute you said it, I was like, I forgot he was the TNT champion. By the way, I really don't think you should keep throwing belts in the garbage. It's a bad look.
Well, garbage, body bags, what have you. I do. Did you see the new belt? I like the new belt. I actually
I was gonna fight you on it, but I actually think it's kind of all right. It's different.
Like that's the thing is, I will admit this. I kind of like Jack Perry, the scapegoat gimmick and everything like that. Like I kind of don't mind it. Of if it just stayed this kind of edge of like I'm the one that's always been to blame for all the company issues, blah 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 blah, just fuck the system type shit and everything. That's fine. Granted, it is a little based on CM Punk. It is a little because of Punk and everything.
Okay,
but I think that if Jack Perry loses this match, that's gone. Versus Darby can still recover, and Darby's still fine. Darby's still Darby Allin if he loses this match.
Yeah, true. I mean, if you screw Darby, that's my out. Like if Okada comes out and kicks Darby in the head, or if Jack Perry cheats to win this match, you're 100% accurate, and I would consider changing my vote completely. But I could see them doing like Grand Slam, champion versus champion. I don't see Darby having two belts, so he goes in as TNT champ, takes on Danielson. If spoiler alert.
Right.
And it's champion versus champion, and he loses.
Yeah, but I don't like the idea of it being champion versus champion because then you diminish the TNT championship, which is already diminished, as even MDB's saying right here of they turn the TNT title into a knockoff hardcore title, which they kind of already have their own hardcore title with the FTW title.
No, that's not recognized, so it doesn't count.
Fair enough. But yeah, Keyshawn, he just made the belt. He smelted it himself. Have you ever smelted your own belt?
Right.
He who smelt it must doubt it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And the thing with this pay-per-view is Okada's not on it. We just talked about that. If Jack lose and the Bucks lose, the Elite as a storyline and as a faction in the company, like what happened to them last night to me was like, whoa, like just flat and shocking, to be 100% honest. You need them. Like none of the heels got there was no heel edge last night. All the baby faces were looking good going in. For the most part. I can't think of the reverse. So yeah, maybe a big baby face heavy night ahead on Sunday. So yeah, I'm gonna go Darby just because Tony's crazy. You're gonna go Jack.
Well, and you could not, like, that's the thing is you could still be 100% right because this is the same man that got picked up and dropped off at daycare by Tony Khan, is Darby Allin. And granted,
flamethrower.
Exactly, that's the thing of just fuck it. Like this is just going to be insanity. I still don't get the whole like purple or the pink, of like hoodie fuzzy wuzzy thing that Darby keeps wearing now and everything.
Doesn't even look clean.
But no, I think he looks like he skinned a fucking stuffed animal and just wore it because he's that small he could do it. But and I'll ask this, and this probably a reach because I don't even know if the Crow movie has any ties to Warner Brothers, but I feel like they might have some type of tie in, and maybe you get some kind of play in if that's why you have Sting show up. You get a crossover with that. you get Darby in a casket and he breaks out or something. Like the Sting element and the spooky fantastique that to me feels like it's where it could get to where like Darby could win. I'll say that.
Okay. I'm
yes.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, the maybe.
Like I said, it was just a thrown out there theory of that might be their little tie-in plug-in of, hey, by the way, still be a corporate show.
Maybe. But yeah, I'm gonna go Darby Allin, man. I can't. If Sting pops up, there's no way Sting pops up and he still loses. But then again, there was no way you set him on fire and he still gets a pin. So what do I know?
Valid.
Darby has 0 drip. 60% are going Darby. So a pretty, 60-40 is not a landslide by any stretch. The fan base in the chat is torn.
Right. Yeah, well, and like I said, I'm surprised even to myself that I'm picking Jack Perry here to win this. But it seems very much that they've kind of, despite the Taco Bell ad interference and everything, that they're trying to really get behind him.
Yeah. Maybe. And again, it hasn't been bad. It hasn't been terrible. It just hasn't. Again, it kind of gets lost in the shuffle with the elite stuff. And the elite stuff, unfortunately, is some of the worst things in the company. It's another one of the examples of, if this wasn't on your show and something else was, it'd be a little better. But Jack Perry's doing everything he can to make the best of the situation. His downfall, like a lot of the wrestlers, they don't have the right people directing their careers or controlling their storylines.
They don't have the bumper set up in place.
Right. So anyway, what's next? We got the Gauntlet. This is going to be we're going to talk a hot minute on this one, folks.
Right. So, well, I have some of the names that have been mentioned for it. They are. Oh, come on. Work for me. Oh, it just says Casino Gauntlet. Never mind. Sorry. I thought it on Wikipedia had some names, but I know like OC's in it. We talked about Hangman Page is in it.
OC was one of was like the only one announced, and then Page threw himself. It was a weird segment last night when Page and Uno said he's going to be in it, but then Uno got beat up, so I'm not sure if Uno's still in it or not. I can't imagine in 2024
Uno turned to Ono.
Yeah, like Tony Khan really going to pay Evil Uno to fly to England to wrestle? Really?
I mean, he's already paying him, so I mean, you might as well at least just buy a ticket. Again, like we talked about it, sometimes you just got to use people to use people.
I guess, but you have all this talent. You're going to put Evil Uno? Again, use somebody from top. Use someone that's been big in Ring of Honor. Use all this. You have the best roster in the world. Use it.
But no, that's why we've got to bring in New Japan guys and everything like that.
Yeah.
But so news of the day, I guess we'll finally pull the Band-Aid off of this. That one, Rick O'Shea, our favorite fighting Irishman, signed, according to Fightful, according to SRS, a multi-year contract with AEW. Yes. Mm-hmm. So that could also be part of why Samantha Irvine stopped, the Wednesday thoughty with the body pictures and everything.
Maybe.
But it's already been pretty much predetermined, or people already saying he's probably going to show up at All In, or he's already pretty much on a flight to England.
Everyone said that.
Do you think he shows up here? Do you think he just shows up on the show? Where do you think we see a Rick O'Shea? And does he come back as like Shrapnel or something like that? Or
I read what's his real name again?
Trevor Mann.
Trevor. Yeah, I heard he was going to use something akin to that, like cover. I don't know.
No, he just takes our gimmick of Rick O'Shea.
Yeah, right. Just break it up a little. If you're gonna throw good money at Ricochet, and you're gonna convince people, which you have, that he's going to be a star in your company, you bring him in this gauntlet match, and you make him a #1 contender, and you send him right to the top of the mountain. Too often they bring in the big signings and they fuck around in middle with like Lee Moriarty and fucking, Action Andrade and fucking Danny Garcia. So I think this is where you do it. And it also potentially could set up maybe something between Ricochet and Page. again, I won't really believe it until I see it. But at the end of the day, this is a good fit for Ricochet. Stylistically, our fear, like everybody else, does he sign? Is he hot for a couple months and then forgotten like all the other toys?
Yeah, that's my big worry. I hope that he gets a good push. I really, my fantasy booking of Ricochet and AEW is a Ricochet Osprey match again, and maybe if we can get it, a Ricochet versus Danielson. So him being the number one contender is not a bad shout. Now, granted, it already feels weird. I already don't like it that we have Darby set up as a number one contender, and then we'd be setting up another number one contender.
Yeah.
That's a little sus. That's a little terrible booking to me. And I will say also, without of this, of what we've talked about multiple times of Hangman versus Jeff Jarrett, I thought that was at least going to be advertised. I wanted more Jeff Jarrett versus Danielson, Swerve versus Hangman, but I thought at least we were going to get Hangman versus Jarrett on this card.
Listen, as I said at the beginning of the show, I'm advocating on behalf of Hangman Page. Hangman Page went away for a while, which he's known to do. Fine. Comes back. And at that point, he had a chance to dig in and be an absolute heel and add some actual heat to the Elite, where he could have fucked over everybody, every baby face, during Anarchy in the Arena. He could have shown up and we, have it where we find out that the Bucks and the Hangman buried the hatchet. They found common ground, and he could just be a fucking mean-spirited heel. But like everyone else in the company, for the most part, he's just another one of these conflicted, emotional, I'm not sure what I'm doing fucking guys that to me is got so much potential and could do so much with them. This whole booking, we thought it was going to be him and Swerve. We thought it was going to be him and Jeff Jarrett. Not that either. Then he randomly shows up, says he's going to be in the Gauntlet match, and beats up Uno. What the fuck?
He's been conflicted since, like, even when he was dealing with being part of the Dark Order versus the Elite and everything. I feel, unfortunately, Hangman pretty much peaked at the Omega storyline. And once that was done, they really didn't know fully what to do with him. And then he got caught up in the whole situation with Punk. But where he's been now, he's been one of their top guys, or should be one of their top guys. Like I said, everybody's been clamoring for him versus Swerve again. That's your kind of your, not on the same caliber, but that's their kind of 1A, 1B. That's their two of their top guys right now going at it. And Ricochet owns the Ricochet name. I did not know that. Shout out. That's pretty dope.
I didn't know that because he wasn't Ricochet till he got there. So that's interesting.
Well, no, he was. They just spelt it different.
That's true.
It was only in the Lucha to where
he could get away with that. Technically,
it's like Rhino to where it was RHY and then RHI. Yeah.
True.
And so that's, I think, part of it, because trust me, I do remember. I recognize the name Ricochet, but back to Hangman. He's become one of their top guys, like their breakout guys. That's carried the fucking ball when Omega's down, when Moxley's down, what have you. But they always just seem to keep taking him out at the shins, whether it be through his own fault, through booking's fault, what have you. Like, I still stand by this should be all in of it should be Swerve versus Hangman, because that's been your biggest feud this year. 2024 has been the feud in AEW of Hangman versus Swerve.
Yeah. It's like if all of a sudden at Bash at Berlin, CM Punk was going to fight Chad Gable.
Yeah.
You're like, wait.
Or what? CM Punk was going to be in, like, the
IC title tournament.
The IC Battle Royal or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a little, and like I said, again, anybody that thinks, you guys just be negative. No, I appreciate what Adam Page has done. I know he's got a lot of critics out there, and I've been one of them, but I think when he gets fired up and he's into it, he's good. He reminds me of Ring of Honor Hangman Page. You just have to you got to put him on a straight storyline. You got to simple. I am this guy. This is like Austin. Steve Austin was Steve Austin. He didn't show up one week with like feelings, and the next week, then he was back to being a badass, and then the week after.
So that's what I was going to say, and I didn't want to say it to be too much, but I would say at least this year, or at least currently, Hangman and Swerve is their Rock Austin. I know it's a bold strategy and it's a bold statement, but if you
I see what you're saying.
Make the comparable within the same frame and everything, because that's what Hangman should have been. Of I'm not exactly heel, but just you. Like when he cut that promo and was out there of this man showed up to my house. This man bothered my family. Like this man was in my kid's room. Like we had to move because of this man, and y'all cheered him. Like that should be his Q energy, and they should have taken that and ran with it. Instead, they just made him wishy-washy. Everybody lives in this world of gray.
Yeah, and they're like I said, that's you're lacking badass heels. And I asked the chat because we got some real AEW faithful that show up on a Wednesday, and I asked them like, who are the big badasses in AEW? Like the ones that like when you hear their music, you're like, somebody's about to get fucked up. Oh no, there's nobody.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all.
All your heels, including MJF, are, some days he's a prick, some days he's, a chicken shit, some days he's devious. Like
I'm waiting for MJF to come out to American Dream.
I'm waiting for him to come out to fucking when it comes crashing down.
No. They'll throw the tomatoes you were asking for. They'll throw the tomatoes.
Go. He's digging in. You see the promo video? It's ridiculous. There's eagles screeching and shit. I saw
some people that are like, I'm now a French Canadian after this.
Fucking hell. How long will All In be? I'm approximating that we're going to be live for somewhere around 5.5 to 6 hours.
Yeah, I was going to estimate roughly about 5 hours. I don't know how much that includes the pre-show, but I'd guesstimate about 5.
Yeah, we're usually, I think I remember I was mad because Ring of Honor was 7. We're like, why are we still here?
That was like 7, 8. Yeah, last year. If I remember correctly, I could be talking up my ass, but.
No, you're not. We're going to be here. I mean, and we get talking, and then, the media scrum starts, and we get curious about what, Tony's going to be up to, and
who choked out who backstage.
How wide-eyed and owl-eyed he's going to be for the fucking.
Does he have the Max hat on again?
Right. Yeah, it's going to be a hot minute. Gauntlet. Any other predictions with the Gauntlet match? I know we've been kind of all over the place with this one. If Ricochet shows up, you have to give it to him. Don't fuck around. Don't give him a side story. Push him to the fucking moon and make him feel like a superstar. And that's why I believe there's a good chunk, and we've talked about this before. I said I could see Ricochet going to this company. I think a Sami Zayn might do it one day. I think there's certain guys that have kind of hit a ceiling right before the main event guys that feel like you can go to AEW. Like Ricochet is probably going to get a better opportunity to fight for world titles in AEW than he would in WWE. Hands down.
That's fair. That's valid.
Yeah, so that to me, it makes sense for me, that move. If you're like when people were talking about Seth Rollins stuff, if you're at the top of the card, you're not going fucking anywhere. Drew McIntyre was never going to AEW. Like, but again, if you're a guy like maybe like one day, well, Gable's re-signed, but
Bobby.
like Bobby's an interesting guy because he kind of hit that ceiling too. So maybe
but the only problem with Bobby, his stature.
No, he's got to go to like. I mean, you can't have Jack Perry versus Bobby Lashley. Like, what are we doing?
Big Bill. You'd have to have Brian Cage versus Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, but we all know
just
Brian
call it
Cage
the Swole division.
Yeah, the Swole division. Let's go. OC win this by any chance? We do know he's Tony's favorite.
No. Well, and I was gonna click on this from Wrestling Overtime. I hadn't seen this, but I guess
I had not.
I think he's with like Wrestling Purist. Said they are using the Gauntlet winner as a type of Money in the Bank where you can cash it in. Fair enough. I think if Ricochet's in this, he has to win. Like you said, you established that right there. I still want to see, because again, spoiler alert for the ending here, folks, I would still really like to see like a Ricochet Danielson. And And then I think that could, down the road, we get another Ricochet Osprey, and that's it. Hello, my friend. We'll meet again.
I think the cool thing with that, if you do it right, and the problem with Tony is he's like a virgin on prom night. He gets all anxious and just can't help but get off quick. That I think where you have Osprey with one belt, but technically Ricochet would be the number one contender for the other belt, keeps them on a separate path. And you want them, like maybe they just pass by in the locker room, but you have the fans clamoring for it. And if you can be patient, those worlds can collide. But unless you just like fucking next week on Dynamite, dream match like he has before.
But is that, though, that's the interesting part of this, of how much is this actually Tony booking anything versus diehard wrestling fans knowing what's there?
Oh, yeah. Again, like Tony's like, he'll get from the marks, he'll get the, the high five and, what a great job he did putting this. No, we all kind of knew this was there. Like, this is paint by numbers on this one. It's the in-between where I want to see the booker. I want to see the writing team, the creative in AEW start paying off, because right now it is literally like, is everybody on the shrooms while you're writing? Is everybody, not one person, not? Nobody is a sense of reason to some of these booking decisions?
That's kind of us, my guy. Is everybody else? We all have reason, though, on the vitamins. Yeah. But no, and back to your point, and this will probably be the last thing we say about the Gauntlet, because again, it's still a lot of TBD. It's still a lot of up in the air, and that's going to be much more of going to be fun to watch.
In it? Did they say? Sorry.
Wait, what?
Did they say how many people are expected to be in it?
Let me get my point, and then you can say something while I try and confirm that, because I can't multitask right now. Vitamins enhance. But right, yeah. Speaking of the shrooms, I'm a Goomba, but I think it's 100% Ricochet is a better fit here. And
that's
again,
right.
So now is it going to be like
21 plus
like the other Gauntlet, to where someone could win? Before we get to the end.
Ricochet could be the third guy.
That's bullshit. I hate that. But anyways.
You know what? You want to send a point? You make Ricochet number 2. He runs the fuck out, bang, gets the win. No one else comes out. And
no Hangman, no nothing.
Nobody.
Because that was the weird part of OC versus Roddy versus Kyle O'Reilly, was to see who's going to be first. So I'm like, the only way you do that is if if it's literally just if you pin that, it's done.
Yeah.
Like, outside of that, like, it goes. It's the Osprey rule.
Yeah. I think one of the bigger wrestling podcast guys were completely confused by it. They were breaking it down. They're like,
trust me, we can say it. Cornette and Last. Trust me, we're the podcast marks to them. Yeah, I'll say
right. That. But no, they made me laugh because they were just scratching their head, and I'm like, no, but they have this stupid rule of like, if you don't get in, you don't get in. Like,
which is again a stupid rule. But
last one at the orgy, he ends up with a finger in the bum. But that's pretty much it.
But yeah, I think that though Ricochet has a better chance of really, we get to see what Ricochet could have been like here and everything. We get even potentially down the road, hopefully, a Ricochet versus a Kenny Omega and everything, or Ricochet Okada.
It's a little ironic because you got Phoenix and Penta apparently going the other way. So they're
trading. Well, I'll trade you Ricochet. You give me Ricky Starks.
I'll take that trade.
I feel like that's the trade. I feel like that's kind of that trade.
And I'd take it I'd happily take on Ricky Starks. And this is not a knock on Ricochet. I think Ricochet's phenomenal, but he has struggled to connect with the fans, to show that charisma, to be able to grab a mic and cut a promo.
I think though, when we would talk about this, and this is why, like I said, I'll eat crow if I have to on this, of how I was saying it was all quiet on the Western Front. I thought he was going straight back to the Fed.
Yeah, me too.
Because of how they sent him off. If you could have really made that an angle, and I think you really would have gotten him involved, especially as you played up Samantha and him being together, and that's acknowledged. And Samantha's over too as well. She's out there in that Lillian Garcia, Howard Finkel kind of vibe of the announcer's over too. But I think they could have done something there. But he would have never been a world champ. He would have been at best an IC champ in WWE. Here, he could be a world champ and have a run as a world champ.
Yeah, and that's where again it's a good deal. But like, I don't want to temper people's excitement, because It is a good guy. He could do really big things. He could help the company. But Ricochet at his best is never going to be, the face of WWE. Like, I
Not
like
in that environment. I think this is a really good opportunity to see him shine. I think this is a good move. Like, that's the thing is,
yeah.
Either way would have been. I would have been excited for the man, and pun intended, I guess. But with this too, I think this is really we're gonna get to see him shine. Like I said, you're gonna have people clamoring for that Osprey Ricochet match. That's now you can
100%.
have that main event any moment.
And you make them wait. Tony, I'm begging you, Tony Khan, if anybody can pass a message on to Tony Khan, be patient with Ricochet and Osprey. People want it. Tease it. People want it. Make them wait. Don't give this one up. Save it for one of your major pay-per-views and you build to it. Please. Don't fuck this one up. But they're going to
main event's Texas. That main event's Texas next year. Perfect.
Let's go. I mean, that's a year in the making. So, yeah, I'm good with that. Especially right now because, like I said, you can send Ricochet after your world title. It's like this, we'll get it to the end. But to me, the title matches are almost backwards as far as the participants and what belts they have. But next, triple threat for the tag titles.
FTR versus the Young Bucks versus the Acclaim. Sorry.
Yes. Sorry, Nick. 83% are saying yes, Ricochet will be. So there's still 17 KJs out there that are skeptical. Or 17%.
Well, and even then, could he show up at a different point in time during the show and not exactly in the gauntlet? Like, could we still get, I know we talked about it briefly and moved a bit past it because Ricochet is the topic of the day, but could it still be a Hangman Page wins it? Could it be somebody else and Ricochet shows up at a later point in the card? Could he just be that NXT spot in the attendance? He could be Mercedes Moné up there.
No, don't do that. That's so like, I wish they would have done what they did with what the WWE did with Punk. Like, you stay in the fucking parking lot until 2 seconds before. Like, you don't fucking move and nobody knows. Don't even tell your wife. Like, I wish they would have done that with Ricochet because when it did happen, instead of us going into this pay-per-view anticipating it, it would have been nice. Fine. I get why they did, though. I 100% agree with why they did. It's just, I wish they had a little more knowledge.
But there's no theme, there's no hook, there's no nothing that you could hit, there's no note, there's no string that you play that instantly gets the people rousy and rowdy that Ricochet showed up. Well, what are you going to play? One and only. Can't do that. Copyright.
Listen, I would be perfectly content if Will Osprey, because he's going to hit we'll get there. But let's say Osprey's standing tall at the end of this night and the crowd's going wild. And then music hits that people aren't familiar with. And he comes walking down and stands in the middle of the ring, nose to nose with them. And that's it. You just let them know that you're there. And then we go off the air. I'd be okay with that.
If that's great, that won't be the end of the show, though. That's the only thing.
Like, they just start playing. Garbage.
That's a really cool moment, but that's not how you end the show. So,
don't care about this tag match. Billy Gunn is so tiny in that graphic. He's like way back there.
I don't even see him.
Yeah, hey, listen, I don't work for the graphic department. What can I say?
Right? Our graphics department is better than AEW's graphics department. Actually, we've proved that at one point our graphics department was at the same pace.
We're using
the same shit as AEW's graphic department.
I know where you got that stuff.
Right.
But Ricochet should be facing the winner of Bryan versus Swerve. Can't be burying someone so fast and not push him right away. I think that's what you do. Like, I said it when Mercedes came in.
What about Darby? Darby's got a challenge too.
Like, you literally have a lineup, like a waiting room.
That's the biggest issue here,
right?
Is you're setting a line.
Like,
you're starting a queue.
Yeah. Like, somebody wins the gauntlet on Sunday, becomes the number one contender, and ends up sitting in the waiting room like Beetlejuice. Like, oh, what's my number? Shit. Like, it's a long line. It's a long wait.
Hey, buddy, you want to trade?
That was well played. Young Bucks for the win. Now we add that one to the repertoire. I've heard a few. The Beetlejuice is pretty spot on.
Oh God, fucking! It's just I'm Batman.
now I need a wrestler that reminds us of Beetlejuice. Ricochet.
No, Beetlejuice probably wrestled too. Right, he was out there with Jeff Jarrett.
Right.
Who you calling sweat nuts?
Will be the next Mercedes. She's not that good, but Ricochet's a highly talented
Ricochet
guy.
is that good. Ricochet is
and
that good.
In AEW, he is a 7-star producer. That's what all the hardcore AEW fans are looking for, is the star rating. The star rating, fucking, Ricochet shit stars like he's Mario.
Yeah, and that's, again, you want to see talent go to where the best that they can succeed in everything, and this 100% is where Ricochet would have the best opportunity to really succeed and really show his talent. And again, hopefully it's just more of management doesn't just, you're the flavor of the week and then I'm sick of you and just drops you off.
If they set up hologram Ricochet, I might boycott.
I am you. It's the Spider-Man meme match.
Well, people thought it was Ricochet.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I am you, you are me.
Yeah, like, it's fine. Like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Them announcing Ricochet shows how they can't hold water to save their life. Wrestling should be about the shock factor. AEW takes that away from us constantly. It's because of the position they're in, and I think it's a lack of confidence.
No, I wave the finger at this. Because we've talked about this. I say nay, because I think that they needed good press going into this. They needed good buzz going into this. They needed an extra little jolt in the ass, a little bit. They're like, well, you said this earlier. He shows up, cool, it's a surprise. That doesn't get me pay-per-view buys. What gets me pay-per-view buys is knowing that he could show up. That's really what this is. It's to me, we had the bad news. We had again, we've talked about it multiple times, of every time something big's about to happen with AEW, something negative comes out. This is the first time something pretty positive has come out, and I'm fine with it. To me, I think it was more tactics than dramatics.
And what Ricochet does symbolize, though, to me, he represents a very small number of young WWE talent, younger WWE talent,
yes,
that have decided to jump ship. They're not over the moon. They're not Edge. They're not, Jericho. Like, it's one of the guys still kind of, and still desired by the company. We saw
still has tread on that tire.
Yeah, but so this is one of the, like, a guy that is in a good spot, and AEW's got a good pickup here. Now they got to make him count. You got to turn him into ratings. You got to make him an absolute worth the value. You spent a lot of money on free agents lately. You got to start paying them off. Yeah,
well, even in any sort of sports aspect, you want to look at this. This is, you got a good free agent from the other team or whatever that, they undervalued, and you can make it, you can slot them in pretty prominently into your lineup here. And now you've got to capitalize on that. And like you said too, it's been a minute since somebody's jumped to AEW from WWE, and B, especially if somebody that's still got tread, that's not on the back nine, that's still more on the front nine.
Right. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Yeah, definitely on that front. And again, a lot of the people have like Edge could have signed with the WWE on a reduced schedule, a reduced
Legends deal. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Ricochet does symbolize that to me, of like, and like I said, I think there's a handful of guys. I thought Finn Balor actually might have ended up being one of those guys of like, well, I might be able to go over there and like really be a top guy.
There was a brief period where that seemed like a solid possibility. Yeah.
Chad Gable, people thought might go, didn't go. Anyway, this is how much we care about this tag match, guys. We have literally had the graphic for the tag match up for 7 minutes and haven't said a fucking word.
Sorry.
Not you, us. Like, we literally, the chat is still talking about Ricochet. Fuck the Bucks.
Because I think this is the big news. This is the positive news. This is the jolt in the ass that they kind of needed. We've talked about this. AEW's been stagnation and complacency for a good bit. And I think, honestly, to tie everything back together, this tag match defines complacency with AEW, because 100%, This has been the only tag team division. These have been the only tag teams. This has been everything in the tag team division that is AEW that was supposed to be spearheaded by the greatest tag team of all time and supposed to put tag team wrestling back on the map. And at one point, when you had the Briscoes, T's and P's, J, that FTR and the Briscoes made this tag division while the Young Bucks stood and watched. But this is just complacency incarnate. This is another one of those of go and get your merch. You'll have some spots. You'll have some, you got to get your, shoes from Champs and all that. But
well, it's like, and again, the thing I find with the FTR Bucks matches or a lot of the Bucks matches is like when we just talked about Ricochet coming in and he does things so seamless and he goes from spot to spot, but it looks like he's doing moves as part of a match, like he's trying to win a combat. Where it's like with the Bucks, it's a lot. Okay, everybody stand still. All right, now put your spike shoes on. All right, now you stand up and walk into it. All right, now you lay down. Okay, now you pretend it didn't hurt you. Like that's what those matches feel like. I predicted the Acclaimed was going to go stale when they gave him the belts. I think I feel like I can claim that I was right on that because they burned them out. It's like a match. They couldn't help but light it. Again, patience.
Well, Taskmaster's just like
mailing it in, bro.
Got all the way up,
bro. He's mailing it in.
No, I think he's the only person I think that's outside of like Andrade when he was there just punching people in the face. Like he's actively like trying to get fired.
Yeah, dude. I said it on Wednesday. He came out and looked so uninterested in being there. He was like a teenager who was just told to come say hi to grandma and grandpa, but he was in the middle of trying to get a nap. Like, hey, everybody.
The thing is honestly, I'm going to say this, Max, from me to you, and I know you're probably going to give a shit about this, but you do you, boo-boo. But you need to hear this of, if you fuck this up, ain't nobody calling. WWE ain't calling. Maybe TNA at best is calling. I don't even know if Scott D'Amore out there with, the Mapletrons and everything is calling. You'll be out there with NWA, the OVW. Like,
really?
You were good. You were cooking. And then you just decided of like, fuck it, I'm too good for this shit. And I'm just like gone all the way negative.
Do you think it is a bit of the like I'm going to be a dick and maybe I will get released or I
think he just knows I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Nobody can stop me. Yeah.
You ain't going to do nothing.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I mean, I think that
it's not good. Overall, this is not
I like
good.
them both.
Acclaimed is not good. What?
I like both of Bowens and Max. I think there's talent there. But I don't know. I think
Bowens is talent. Max is an ass. Yeah.
He's definitely an ass.
Billy Gunn gets the biggest pop out of the Acclaimed.
It's now, granted, he got the biggest pop out of all of these people.
Facts. Now, granted, how do you feel FTR is like just falling off a cliff?
FTR, and I've said this publicly, I was a huge fan of FTR like a lot of us were. The days where they were match after match after match, they were like the tag team Sheamus. They just gave us banger after banger after banger. And then this whole thing where Dak starts the podcast and I'm right there with them listening. Yeah, you tell him, man, that's bullshit, and playing it like, oh, if I say names, I'll get in trouble. And then eventually he resigns, which is his prerogative. I don't knock anybody's hustle, but they became good old company boys right after that. And they haven't been exciting. They haven't been compelling. They had a couple really good matches, but they have been a shell of who they are. And Dax at this point has become one of the most irritating, grinding personalities. Insufferable, especially on YouTube. Listen, I'm a big, anyone, oh, you're just hating? Bro, I bought completely into Dax and I supported him. And he just went, I got my paycheck and I don't give a fuck. And that's it. And that's what it feels like.
I don't know what it is because we were the biggest FTR supporters. They won tag team of the year every time, mid-year, half year, all the year, midlife, full life crisis, all out. anytime we could put the FTR over, and especially watching them versus the Briscoes, Christ, that's, you could almost damn near argue that trios of matches between those two is match of the fucking decade of like that those three matches that those four boys did will stand the test of time. And now they have just become the most insufferable motherfuckers of like just head so far up their ass or whatever, like just gone so far from what they were. Even like we were praising because Cash got off on a fucking gun charge for pulling a fucking piece during a road rage incident. Like, no, we don't cheer that for, we don't cheer you for getting off for being a douchebag. Like, and then
I mean, that
has to sit there and come out and cut a promo once a week of how I do this for my kids and I love pro wrestling. We can get it, my guy, and we loved you, but when you kept ramming it down our throats, we coughed and spit up a little bit. We hot to it on that thing,
right? Well, you get to a point of it's overkill. And again, you were much better when you were just badasses that came out and delivered in the ring. And now you're in matches that even and again, I think it's a case of, we talked about it. New Japan Kenny is not the same as AEW Kenny. I think this is no different. But it's like, it felt like FTR felt like they hit, like, we are now the best tag team that ever lived. We don't have to do anything else. And they put it in cruise control. And that's what it feels like. Now, maybe it's just, oh, well, we're just going with the flow, whatever. But they talked a lot. Dax talked a lot about how is our legacy going to be the most important. So you tell me how in the last year they've cemented their legacy as one of the best tag teams ever. They haven't.
Do more, say less. You guys already respect they're great on the mic. So maybe just shut the fuck up and just go back to what you were doing really well at, of being really fucking talented tag team wrestlers. Like these guys define tag team wrestling of this kind of era a bit. Christ, we even see DIY now out here hitting the Shatter Machine, and they call it the Shatter Machine. Because it don't feel the same in AEW. Like, it's tag team wrestling as a whole in pro wrestling right now is weak, and in AEW especially, when it was supposed to be one of the backbones, one of the staples of this company, it's you got a slip disc with this, my guy.
Well, and again, I just think, and again, at the time, things are different. You figure maybe FTR were considering leaving, and the news that Vince McMahon had worked himself back into the company momentarily, maybe that was enough to scare them away. Like, fuck no, we're not doing that. And then again, I can't knock the guys for signing their contract. I can knock them for being blowhards though. And I can knock them
from one blowhard to another. I can knock you from being blowhard.
But that's it. I mean, so yes, I think this match, if this was 3 years ago, we'd be losing our minds. Can't wait. But
this would be a match of the night candidate. Instead, this is a bathroom break of the night candidate.
And I think part of it is, I think a lot of athletes in AEW is, we've been seeing you week in and week out and pay-per-view in and pay-per-view out forever. We need some people to step back. We need to cycle some new blood. Like Ricochet coming in helps. You got Osprey. Okada's still kind of new. Like, we got to utilize and maybe give the Jerichos, the FTRs, the Bucks, just go fucking take a Moxley.
Yeah, but with this right here, we could have had Top Flight. We could have had the Guns. We could have had Kings of the Black Throne that
would have been nice.
House of Black, tag team and everything.
Yeah,
there's multiple other tag teams that are in this company. You could have slot in here, but it's the same 3 teams. But with that being said, as we've now gone, I think 10 minutes on a match, we really gave about 2 minutes too.
Yeah, who are you taking?
The Young Bucks.
I'm with you. I'm taking the Bucks.
Holy shit! Hell has frozen over. I thought I was going to take that and get hung at the fucking stake here.
No, I mean, dude. Okay, so this is where I'm stuck. Realistically, you could put the belts on FTR and try and build your tag team division around them, but they're not going to. If the Bucks lose, they are irrelevant as smarmy prick heels. If they lose, like I said earlier about Jack Perry, it's all for naught because the heel's only good if the heel is effective. That's why people hated Roman Reigns for so. Oh, he always cheats. Fuck's sake, every fucking yeah. But every time he won, it got you madder and madder and madder. And if the Bucks continue, they lost that the last pay-per-view. If they lose here tonight, what do you do with them? They already are, come off as big giant pussies. What are you going to do if they keep losing? Sorry.
Punani. Trust me, I'm already getting mad just looking
at
the sun. I'm looking like, Nicholas, how dare you have my name? I want to punch you just for having my name.
Right.
But I think that this really more spins off into FTR versus the Acclaimed, and that's a feud going forward. And the Bucks again just can continue to just do nothing. This is the first title defense they've had in 4 months since they won the belts. And again, we've talked about it on stream multiple times of how it's the alleged rumor, and they've halfway acknowledged it even on Twitter about them taking time off, about them being away from the show. Now it's been speculated they were doing that because the Lucha Bros wanted to see them, and they were like, "We don't want to see you." So, but I think the Young Bucks just skate by here. They got love for my K-Swiss, all of that. They got shoes in champ stores and everything. They're winning here.
Any chance MCMG is included in this somewhere? Is there any vibe that could be a thing?
If they do, it'll be a holy shit. And again, if they do, it's going to be one of those, much like we talked about before with Ricochet. If they are included in here, A, it's a holy shit fuck, because that's a good surprise to fucking pull. Yeah. And B, if they are, they have to win. Like, there is no way that they're in there and they don't win.
But even like
they show up at the end? Hell no.
No? Okay.
It's one of those, they're in the match and they don't show up at, like, if they show up at the end, then why the fuck did you just put them in the match?
Well, they're not allowed.
They were there.
Well, if they're there, use them.
Right.
My Max Caster turns on Bowens after the match.
Oh.
Have they teased that, Damien? Maybe. I don't know.
Caster and Dom form the Mustache Club.
Right. There you go. Oh, Jesus Christ. Damien, what if Bowens turns instead? Bowens would be interesting, but Caster's the bigger dick. Go with the, lean in, pause.
Yo, hey, yo.
Stop me if I'm lying.
You can't say what you said to start that and then lean in, followed by that.
Lean in.
No, that's how you get That's how you end up like Tongaloa. You end up with an eye patch if you lean in on that shit.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Come on now.
No, I don't want to. You can come on, Eileen. If you know what I mean.
Caster as a single guy will drown. That's I don't think
drowning as a tag team wrestler.
Yeah. No, like I said, and I mean, this is the last kind of. We'll wrap up the tag team one because. But when the fans, do you remember they had that really good match? And everybody was like, I can't believe they didn't call an audible. Like, Tony, come on, Tony.
All the way back to when
all the way back.
Versus Swerve and Glory.
Yeah, they were hot potatoing it 2 years, right? And they literally had all the momentum. People were losing their mind. It was like the fucking we want Cody. It was we want Acclaim. And Tony caved and gave them the belts the next pay-per-view. And that was their death because they had nowhere to go. And they should have chased.
I can't say that was the turning point.
Oh, they've been dead since. They had their little run.
I think that they split up along the way. There was the point to where they were selling them Pepto-Bismol trios belts and everything. They were over back again at one point.
Oh, they weren't over. Anybody think
they were over as they were, but I'll give you that. But yeah,
this whole. I mean, when Billy first, they were. I'll give you when Billy was first joined in shit. Yeah, they kind of popped, and people were still going nuts for the scissor. But beyond that, they've been nothing. Their booking's been shit. I'm looking for Bash, then I'm looking for Bash, then this.
Looking forward to, I assume.
I got it. But yeah, no. I'm looking forward to both. Can we look forward to both?
We look forward to all things wrestling. Christ, we're going to be here tomorrow night for SmackDown and TNA Emergence as well. And then Saturday, Wrestling Revolver, Collision, all the things. And then, again, like we've talked about, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time, we will be here for All In.
There you go.
Right.
11:30 in the morning. Yeah, bright and early, folks. But the next match, big grudge match, one of the bigger storylines on AEW programming right now. Toni Storm, Mariah May for the title.
I think that this is more of a slam dunk than anything.
You think?
I think this is Mariah May's match. I think Mariah
May
wins this, and maybe you get a Mina Shirakawa involved in this. But yeah,
I think so too.
This has been what this is building to, and it's again. I still laugh when people were like, when Mariah first turned, of like, can you believe they actually did this? See, they were planning this all the time. It's like, no, we all knew this was fucking coming. We're just glad they finally did it.
Yeah, that's where even like watching last night's show and then seeing some of the crowd reaction online, I was like, yeah, you know what? It's okay. There's just some people out there that
you're slow to the party.
It's just a different fucking game. No, I agree with you. I mean, when we had all that stuff where all the girls were like fucking taking turns kissing each other, that's when all this should have played out. But
provocative.
But then Shirakawa went away, and then it didn't happen. Then the turn happened, and then Shirakawa disappeared. Now we know she's in London. I could see Shirakawa helping Mariah May win. Mariah May has to win this, or again, it's another heel that you're just pissing down the toilet.
Yeah, and I think Toni Storm has very much kind of run her course with this. There's no way that you could have this go towards Toni Storm and then follow up with it down the road, or like there's no better ending than right now with Mariah May taking the title off of Toni. And go ahead.
Yeah, and I think you, again, like other things in the company, I just think it needs a little bit of a freshen up. And I'm a big fan of Mariah May. I think she's been outstanding. I think if the producing and the producing and the writing were better, we'd be that more into this. It's got a lot of legs. It's not really panning out the way it should, but the match should be really good. And Mariah deserves a shot.
100%. I think she's outkicked her coverage when it comes to AEW. I will say that. And I'm interested too of how they do with Toni Storm after this. Like, does she all of a sudden like the pins in black and white 1, 2, 3, and then as soon as she loses the title, everything boom turns to color.
No,
and then she's like little Dorothy and Wizard of Oz. They're like, how do they take Toni back out of this? Gimmick.
I think what you do is which we keep saying, give Toni some time off, let her breathe.
Yeah.
Right? You give her off a few months.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. Yeah. My name is Storm. Oh.
And then you pick a moment where she comes back and gets revenge on Mariah. But when she shows up, the screen doesn't go black and white. And she can even touch on it of like, I was once lost in, in a craze, but, this is the real me. And she's uber babyface. And look, Toni Storm is a star. To me, Swerve and Toni Storm are the two that WWE let slip through their fingers. Those are two people I think Triple H would love to have on the roster. Swerve, again, we know what he's done, but Toni, she went there and got a cake in the face. Like, they fucked her up real bad. I think she's a talent. She can continue to do the Toni thing the way it's like this, but it's kind of run stale now because of how you've done it. Just let her go take a breather, come back. She's going to kick some ass. She's a great wrestler.
If Toni Storm was in WWE right now, she'd be a world champion. I'd say that.
She'd be fighting for it, or she'd be neck and neck. Yeah, absolutely. She's in that echelon. She's a hell of a talent, and she proved the one thing we didn't know about Toni Storm, and I will give AEW credit because they gave her the place to do it, Nick. We didn't know that Toni Storm had this range, had this ability. People can love or hate the gimmick. I loved it at the beginning. I feel like because they kept kind of mixing up whether she was a heel or baby face, like a lot of the other storylines, it blurred it to the point where you didn't really know how to feel about her. And that's when someone's acting crazy and you don't have a straight counter to come back at them and go, say everything the fans are saying of like, what are you doing? This isn't a movie. Like, wake up. And that allows her to play into it, right? But she hasn't had that. She had Serena Deeb come out and say, oh, I had a really bad couple years and I'm happy to be back. And Tony's like,
we've sat there and argued multiple times of whether she's truly a babyface or she's truly a heel.
Right. Yeah, no, it's been, again, it's situational heels and babyface according to Meltzer. That's a problem. It is a growing problem with the builds. That's one of the reasons why MJF and Will Osprey's working really well is that's the closest you have to like bad guy, good guy, straight up.
That's like saying I have a situational quarterback. If I have a situational
right.
quarterback, then that means I got a shit offense. That means I got a shit team.
That's a situational quarterback. Yeah, no, it doesn't work.
No,
Right?
that's what the fuck is that? Why is
Yeah.
it situational? No, it should be. It's the fucking characters. It's a
Yeah.
goddamn story you're trying to
Well,
tell us. It's
it's an
again,
extension.
it's theater. It's
Yeah.
violent theater is what
Mhm.
pro wrestling is. So you
Right.
need to find fucking characters. I don't need to sit there and have ambiguous fucking heels and baby faces and everything.
Everyone's
Well,
a
in
big
this scene, he's a heel.
Yeah.
Well, in the next scene, he turns babyface.
Yeah.
And goes back to heel. What the fuck is that?
Right? You can't be situational. And again, like again, this idea that heels and baby faces in modern wrestling is dead. It's killing it. What?
Sorry, this just popped from MTV. 100% a situational quarterback is Tim
Right?
Tebow. Motherfucker, goddamn
right. But yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a really good match. I'm with you, Mariah May. Absolutely.
And well,
Oh
yeah, and MDB. Well, I know he kind of halfway was
yeah.
teasing us of like Thunder Rosa winning damn title back, but there's no Thunder Rosa, there's no Deanna Prazo, there's no Taya Valkyrie, there's no Saraya, there's no none of this on the show.
Well, I think that's a lot of the reason why, like, when there's a hesitation for Ricochet, like, oh my God, they signed Ricochet, and there's a collective out there of like, all right, but when you signed Jay White, it was, oh my God, we signed Jay White. Right.
And
Oh my God,
shit for a while.
Right. Then, like, oh my God, we signed this person. Oh my God, this person. And like you just listed off all these women that you bragged about, like, oh my God, we just signed one of the best women in the world. Here comes Deanna Prazo. Here comes, we brought in Mercedes, who is involved. But like you said, there's the Thunders, and they're like everyone's jumbled in a weird way where there's so much talent just not accounted for.
I mean, I know you mentioned two names that are going to be brought up in another women's match later on with Mercedes, and well, made me think about Jamie Hayter, who's also been on the sidelines for a good bit, and could she get involved at All In? Because she's been MIA.
I think that's what happens here, but then
you thought that I thought you thought you think
maybe again, but if it's hard, this is another one where you have the heel in a bad position, because if the heel loses, you douse them with water. If the heel wins, you have a chance to keep the heat going.
You don't just douse with water, you just light up millions and millions of dollars. Like you're going Joker with the fucking like Tower of Money set on fire here. If Mercedes loses.
Yeah, you can't bring in Mercedes and boast that one of the highest paid wrestlers in company history.
Right. I'll show my hand here. If I'm taking Mercedes to win this match, as much as this probably should be DMD, but this is Mercedes because of that exact reason of you don't have Camille, you don't have all of this backing, you don't have her featuring even last year at All In for all of this, and to still be this huge company fixture with CEO.
Right.
Mercedes wins this match.
100%. I want you to stop agreeing with me, but
damn it, I thought I was going opposed to you.
No, I mean, again, I'm thinking with my head, DMD can't win this. Again,
Jamie Hayter, couple haters,
shows up, helps DMD, but again, I think you're not used.
Women's tag, couple haters.
Fucking hell.
I think Britt's also, though, a bit in the doghouse when it comes to management, aka Tony Khan.
Why?
Because of MJ. You upset the Golden Goose in MJF. And you've already been an issue. This the reason part of why we don't have Thunder Rosa, etc. on this card is because you've been an issue. And now this is Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. This is not even not in talent wise, but this is Problem Child versus Problem Child here.
Okay.
Attitude versus attitude adjustment here.
Right.
But yeah, I think Mercedes, there's too much invested here to where they put the title on her and they keep her going. You get Camille involved. Yeah.
Again, if Hayter comes back and then DMD still loses, don't bring her back till next week. You know what? You want to make a splash? Hater shows up, fucks DMD, joins Camille and Mercedes. Let's go home.
I thought about that, and then I got sick in the back of my throat, and I couldn't get it out.
Things that make you go boo.
Things that make you go boo.
Sasha is winning.
Sasha stinks. We got stink, stank, and stonks right now.
Yes, I forgot. But again, I think that this should be your world title match. I think the other match should be the TBS title match.
This is built as your world title match. I will say that. Your other match is built as your mid-card title match.
It really is, even in the presentation of it. Your
100%. That's what it is. Yeah.
Your mid-card belt had a contract signing. Your main event, your main women's title, the top of the, your top of your top, the number one gal gets in a shitty wrestling match, which, oh my God. And then people were trying to convince me it was good. And then actually somebody had put up, did you see the side-by-side with Becky and Bayley?
Oh, I forgot. I wasn't sure what match you were talking to, but yes. So for folks those who don't know, picture if Stevie Wonder tried to choreograph a wrestling match. He could have done a better job than what was portrayed before us between Toni Storm and Saraya. And like you said, there was the side-by-side of it. I think it was a couple years ago, whatever it was. Becky and Bayley did damn near almost the same or close to the same sequence.
It was almost identical.
It was night and fucking day of. I saw people that were out there saying if what Toni Storm and Saraya did in the ring, they would have not been invited back to the beginners training class because what in the flying fuck was that?
Man, so one of our friends in the chat was like, the women's match was really good. It was like,
it's horrible.
Again, just be honest. Guys, be honest. And that's all we're asking. Like, we watch, like, NXT. We had that women's gauntlet match. The women tore it down. There was not one part of that women's match that was as bad, as slow, or as boring as that one-on-one match.
Just crazy. Call a spade a spade. Whether despite the three letters that are in front of it, call a spade a spade. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's good, it's good. And that was like not literally good. When I saw like the kick in, kick out, kick in, kick out, kick out, kick in, kick out between like the legs, I was like, this is like some little sibling shit. Oh, like I'm gonna fuck you up with a second I turn around.
There was one point where Toni had turned around and Saraya literally like clapped her leg to like almost to be like, now this, like here, like directing her. I was like,
when she's clapping her knee, I'm like, this is the part grab my leg. This is the part. It was fucking Johnny Cage and Goro. This is the part where you fall down now.
What I'm very compelled with this match is how good the in-ring will be. Britt has been known to be a little bit clunky, and in the past, when Britt has had a clunky match, they've blamed the other person. Britt's kind of been Teflon Britt when it comes to criticism in the matches. They even blame Taya Valkyrie for one. If this match isn't clean, if this match isn't a really solid, upper echelon, top tier women's wrestling match, it's going to be noticed real fast.
Well, yeah, and that's part of the braggadocious and everything. And yes, that was exactly where I want to go. Is he's the Ben Simmons? She's Ben Simmons of women's wrestling. But this match has the potential to be either fantastic in that they'll really click because Britt has had some great matches. Obviously, Mercedes, Sasha's had some great matches.
Absolutely.
So this has the potential to really click into all gears. Or this has the potential to literally be a failure to launch. There is no in between, I feel.
Yeah, they're either going to cook or they're going to fucking burn the house down.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're either going to, we'll figure this one out. But yeah, this could be a nice hot meal or a grease fire. We don't know yet.
I'm still surprised though that we're both going Mercedes here. Like,
I just rationally, like if I was booking, I could find a way that I'd rather Britt win. I like Britt better, but you can't brings Mercedes in and have her lose. You can't bring Camille in to help her. Like, I was mad in the build to this because Camille and Mercedes kept running away. There was never a moment. I know she broke the kendo stick on her on Collision, but Camille is, and even Bully Ray talked about it. You can't have her back up against anybody right now. It's like Braun Breaker. Like, you got to keep just gas pedal down.
No, I won't back down.
Let's go.
But yeah, no, and it's again a bit of the laws of wrestling here of they who goes over on the go home show will lose at the pay-per-view.
A lot of
now, granted, if Jamie Hayter shows up and evens the odds, it gets a little more interesting.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but
no, you're good.
No, we haven't seen Hayter in a while. The crowd goes wild. She beats the shit out of Camille. Fucking DMD gets the win. What does that say about Camille and Mercedes? Like, what the fuck? Like, how Camille? Oh wait,
expose them.
Right.
Truth, but yes, no.
Oh, thank you for coming. We appreciate you being
right. Yeah, no, I get it 100%. And I want the record to show that so far I've picked the Young Bucks, Jack Perry, and Mercedes Moné to win on this fucking show. So anyone that's out there that wants to say we hate AEW,
yeah. I got 2 out of 3, so 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Yeah, I got Darby's the only difference there.
Right.
I'm surprised you and I are actually this agreeable, and it's funny because before we went live, Nick's like, I don't know, man.
I thought you weren't gonna be there with me on these pages.
And I've watched so much AEW. I'm just like, this feels like
you're just numb to it at this point. This is what they will do.
The idea of, instead of booking the wrestling in my head the way I think I would, or where I like this would be best for business, I think over time I've got into the idea of what would Tony do? Like,
that's really what it is. We need to sell WWE.
Yeah, what would
Tony do shirts? Yeah,
right. Because that's what it feels like. It's all right. This makes a lot of sense. This also could happen, but this is what I think Tony would do.
Right.
But yeah, so yeah, we're both going Mercedes. Yeah. Now this is it. The main event.
Where are we at the main event?
Oh no, we got 2. The co-main event.
So okay, so we're going on this one first here. Okay.
Yeah, I think the other one's the bigger match.
Well, no, fair enough. Well, one's I think gonna main event because it's the world title.
If Tony won't put his world champ last, I'm not going to.
I think this will go last because of so take the photographs and still frames in your mind. Which did anyone fucking run it by the fact that song name is called Good Riddance? Did anyone run that past anybody before they decided to use it?
Well, I think they're trying to make you believe that. Like, even the people were like, I saw it was funny because there was a picture and it was like, look, he wore the exact same flannel when he retired from WWE.
Yeah.
It wasn't the exact same. You put a side-to-side picture up of things that were different and said, look, he did the same thing. It was the same color, not the same plaid, but anyway, that's being picky. Listen, I think actually this match could go first because Danielson's not losing.
Oh, well, we could get into that whole conversation of I didn't think you were to jump right to that because this man's out here of already saying how he needs, neck surgery, how he's already been a terrible parent. He's out there with his daughter even begging, daddy come home and actually be a daddy and everything like that. He keeps trying to say that he's, a vegan when he won't give up eating free and everything like that. But so I think he 100% continues to just be a bad parent. And wins here, like you said. But I think it's still even cold as shit to where Swerve's out there when, Birdie Danielson is out there,
right.
Daddy, please lose so you can come home. And Swerve's out there, I got you.
Right. Not bad. Yeah, no, not bad at all. I just honestly don't see Danielson losing. They built this up a little bit. By the way, Mercedes takes the so far the win of the night. The most lopsided vote of the night goes to Mercedes. She's the heavy favorite of All In.
Oh, there you go.
But
Danielson wins this match, though, is what I was trying to say. He lets down his child. He's a bad parent.
Yeah.
And he lets down his child and won't be coming home for a while and continues.
No. Yeah.
Does he end this in Tacoma? Like,
yes,
that's the thing.
In front of his daughter. That's the moment.
But like, it's so fucked, though. Like, this match didn't need this stipulation.
Exactly. Look, we're going to talk about it in the next match because Danielson ties into it. But Danielson had a backstage with with Osprey on Wednesday, and I wish they hadn't done it because they lit to me. And listen, if I'm wrong, we will be live, and I will 100% admit my bad. I was wrong, but to me, they give away finishes by over trying to tell. Like the same thing with Danielson. They're selling so hard on him retiring. He's not retiring. He's not retiring. You have him if he's done, if he's truly done. And going to part-time, you do it at Wrestle Dream. He has an epic match. His daughter, his wife, they all come running out into the ring. You get a whole bunch of buzz and clicks because Bella's on AEW, and everybody gives you a standing ovation in your home neck of the woods. Let's fucking go.
But so who does he do it against then? He won't be doing against Darby. He probably won't be running against Swerve, so he'd have to what? Ricochet beats Bryan Danielson for the AEW World title and sends him packing?
No, that's a good question, though. I thought it might be Darby.
Darby's at Grand Slam.
Darby beats Danielson at Grand Slam. And
run it back?
They run it back.
Danielson, to me, should be on one of those of when I lose, I'm done. When I lose, I'm done.
Yeah, you do the Mickey James? Yeah, no, maybe. Super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat. I have Daniel Garcia Costa. We're not there yet, but thank you.
Look at there.
We're almost there. We've been long-winded. This went about 30 minutes.
This went about an hour more than I intended initially, and we're still going.
Yeah, we're not even done yet. Son of a bitch.
Right.
I think the stipulation makes me feel like Danielson's winning. This should be a fucking great match. Two very smart professionals.
Yeah, this will be a phenomenal match. And I think, though, the second that they mentioned about this being Danielson's potential last match, you gave away the ending. Now, again, this might be still a retroactive question, or we'll get there when we cross that bridge. But how do we want to look at Swerve's title reign? Because it's really been kneecapped. We've kind of always been waiting for Swerve to lose versus most world champions. We're waiting to see somebody that challenged them worth enough to where they drop it. We've been just waiting Swerve to be a transitional champion, which sucks.
Yeah, I agree, especially with so much hype going into it. And I think, again, where we talk about when you always blur, when you have situational heels and baby faces, if Swerve, and I say this and people kind of get mad about it, but if Swerve was the Jey Uso of AEW, he wins that belt, he walks out, he's the first thing you see the next pay-per-view, and the entire crowd is on their feet, swerving while they drive. As he makes his entrance and Nana leading, you have Nana open the show, walk out like he's Paul Heyman, and tell everybody to get on their damn feet for Swerve. And then everybody would be chanting Swerve's house, and they'd go nuts every time he came out, and you'd make it a thing. You'd sell T-shirts with two hands saying Swerve when I drive. But
signs that just do this and everything. Yeah.
Right. But they didn't do any of that. They made him this pseudo baby face, this pseudo heel that, he's kind of a bad guy. He's a dick when he's talking to this guy, but he's nice when he's talking to that guy. If you just made him a pure baby face, his title run would have been better. Last night we were comparing it to Priest's title run, two very transitional title runs that never really seemed to peak.
Yeah, and we could almost tell out of the gate that they were fumbling. I don't even want to say fumbling, mishandling, misusing, poorly using Swerve. Now, granted, how do you feel that they were kind of doing it? Some people spun it of he had to atone for his sins a little bit of he was just this dastardly heel of showing up at people's houses and everything like that. Yeah. So he had to atone a little bit for what he did, but he never felt. He's your world champion, and he never felt like the biggest thing on your show.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like when the fans started eating, or when the fans starts giving us the or the fans started doing the yes. When the fans started doing the yes chants, you have to listen to that. And like Tony Khan, who says he's a diehard wrestling fan. So Tony, if you're sitting at the monitor in Gorilla and the fans are reacting, if they're all on their feet doing then you have to have, you gotta have that yes movement. You gotta follow that. You gotta go with it because it got hot. And that's what Swerve could have been. Dude, we had that video that we put out of him at the indie show, and it looked like the whole fucking building was swaying. Right? Like, everybody was so into Swerve. But when you book everybody in the gray, it becomes fucking mush. It's oatmeal. It's pudding. It's not.
Well, and again, this match could have done so well without the stipulation getting added to it. And shout out Preem, I guess I'm trying to say it that way. Well, no, he was just asking if we could get a Davey Boy Smith Jr. in the Gauntlet, which maybe, or you get him and you get him paired up with Dynamite Kid there, Billington, and you get the British Bulldogs as an actual tag team.
Yeah.
There you go. That's not a bad shout. Tony.
Now, I don't know how close they are. How, like, if there's I don't know what their standing relationship is. I don't know if Davey Boy is locked into anything with NWA. But again, if you
be NWA or MLW, I thought he was
MLW. Sorry, my bad. But to your point, if you have access to a gauntlet match, the battle royals are great for that, right? Because then, oh my god, so and so. So I think this is a chance to have 2 or 3, even if they're not staying. If they're one time, like Grado. Grado's a perfect shout. I saw it come up a couple times. We have Grado. Grado was there last year.
I always pop. It's still one of my favorite intros to play is Grado coming out to down on my knee.
No, anyway, I started singing with you.
I was gonna say, did I freeze up or did you freeze up? Somebody's out here in the space-time continuum.
I faked it. I just went.
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Are you alive?
Who are you taking in this one?
Danielson. We've talked about this. So to me, it's especially the them adding the stipulation, them adding the fact that Danielson's going to call it a career after this is very much setting up that Danielson's winning this match, which again has been the kneecapping of Swerve's title run. We thought, like, this almost feels like they did this to avoid Osprey versus Swerve because you knew Osprey was going to win it, and you've almost been waiting more for when Swerve's going to lose it, but Danielson wins this. I feel.
Could it be a case of, and this is the only thing I can think of, I can't imagine this being Danielson's retirement match, but could they have Danielson lose to Swerve, and then just in like a couple months, like, something happens and Brian comes running.
I go nowhere, mother.
Yeah, like Brian shows up and Tony I'm supposed to be retired, but I gotta have this match. Like, is that the loophole with it? Like, they just kind of like he kind of pseudo retires for. I keep using the word pseudo, but
but no, it's so. Why the fuck would you do that then? Like, it's more of one of those of you need to get away from gimmick shit like that for a while. So to turn around and do that again, just don't do it. Like, what is he going to play? Christopher Daniels? He's going to usurp him and be the new authority figure. We already think he's goddamn the fucking disciplinary committee. So I think this is clearly Danielson wins. They telegraphed it when they announced that it was going to be potentially his last match. I still think it's going to be a fantastic match. I feel, and honestly, I think it's a really good comparable of Swerve's title reign to Priest's title reign. They're very similar. You more anticipated when the person was going to lose versus expecting them to win.
Right. No, sorry, MDB real quick. Tommy Billington is Dynamite Kid. They've been calling him Dynamite Kid. Davey Boy Smith is not that guy. Tommy Billington was the one we saw on Wednesday. Davey Boy Smith is the Bulldogs.
Yeah, Tommy Boy. Tommy Billington is the nephew of Dynamite Kid. Davey Boy is the son of British Bulldog.
Facts. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going Danielson on this one, Nick. I don't think I can vary from that. I just don't see this being Daniel Bryan's last match. I don't believe it. You haven't sold me on it. I'm shocked. I feel bad for Swerve. It'll be very interesting what he does next. But I think, and I also look, I'll spoiler. I agree with Damien. I think Danielson drops the belt to Darby. I think Danielson gives Darby the rub.
I don't even think so. I don't think so. And is Danielson the Ric Flair of just I'm not gonna ever retire?
No, I could be wrong. And I mean, money changes
He
people's
comes out and
opinions.
says, I need neck surgery. My daughter's asking me to fucking come home, daddy.
Mhm.
But
I mean,
he's out
really,
here more
but
singing Dear Haley.
But let's be real, bro. I mean, he doesn't work that much. I'm sure his daughter's okay. Like he's gone 1 day a week, sometimes like
I don't
twice a
know.
month.
He might be doing something strange. He might be out there just wrestling,
Right,
shopping malls or something like that and everything just to get his fix in.
right. All right, sir. Last but not least from us, two long-winded gentlemen here. Before
Right.
we do this one, now save it for after. Folks, who do you got? Who do you got? By the way, the chat 71% on Danielson. So heavy favorite.
Okay.
The second biggest favorite of the night, I believe. No,
Next to Sasha.
Next to Sasha. This is a very exciting main event. I love what they did. I do feel like it's been booked a little backwards because the Iron Man or like a 60-minute match should be on the pay-per-view. How are they going to
We're gonna get a 60-minute match. They're just not gonna tell us.
Are they going to go an hour and 5?
They're gonna go. Like this is again, I think this is part of why we've trimmed down the number of matches because this is going to go a while. We've got a 12-person tag team ladder match. That's going to go a hot minute. This is going to go probably, I believe, at minimum an hour. And they're going to big up.
You think they try and go
past an hour?
You think they go ham? Like they literally go.
I 100%. I think this is. I like that. Honestly, you put this as the main event because to me, this will be the best match of the night. I think that this is going to show up and show out because that's what the show is about. Yeah. I hate fucking, MAGA Maxwell, but of him being super patriotic and all of that shit. But I think that this match is going to 100% be the match of the night. This match could be potential match of the year candidate, I feel. And I think Osprey wins with a Tiger Driver.
Well, that's again where we talk about sometimes in a way where you're trying to be like, we got to tell the story. Danielson didn't have to walk up to Will on Wednesday and go, do it. So now you just kind of told
him. Do it.
Just fucking do it. You didn't have to do that. You're kind of showing your hand a little. Like I'd love to play poker against Tony Khan because I think he's got a lot of tells. Maybe not though, because he just
keeps sniffing. That's what it is.
Twitchy in general.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Will Osprey's in front of his home audience, his home crowd. They made him fight Jericho last year, which thank God they didn't do it this year. They did the right thing by making him a pure babyface going into this. MJF purposely digging into the USA gimmick, which again, I know you don't love it. I don't love it a whole lot.
You're the weird perspective because you're Canadian. So again, you're looking from the outside here. To me, it's just fucking stupid of like people that live here aren't even that prideful of us. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. The problem, the Tiger Driver.
And it's never been in his character. It's never been part of his.
All of a sudden,
like it should have just. This match very much could have just stayed of who's the best in the world, and that's to me what it should have stayed as. And what's really at the core of this is who's the best. Fuck the country shit aside. That's indifferent here. To me, what this story's based on is who's the best doing it.
What I will say is they had the right idea. You make MJF as big of a heel as possible. But to me, the gimmick feels like an overcompensation. I think MJF's good enough to get the heat you needed him to get without doing this gimmick. I think he's talented enough to make people boo him without being this.
Right. Well, no, 100%. I agree with you. I was gonna more just ask, do you think that they're they didn't almost know how to book a re-heel MJF because they were going so much into him being a babyface that they lost how to book him as a heel.
A little bit. And I mean,
to
again,
pivot from the Undisputed Kingdom, because that's all dead in the water. Like, we're really pivoting from
people
where
are talking
we were going.
A possible Adam Cole return, Nick. And what do you do with Adam Cole?
That.
But you know he's coming back to the company. You assume he's coming back to the company at some point.
He got kicked in the balls and sent on his merry way. Piss off with all of that. That whole faction is dead. That shit's up the fucking creek. Quit trying to make fetch happen.
Could Adam Cole
send it on his goddamn merry way and move along?
Could Adam Cole be in the Gauntlet?
Cool. Whatever. He'll probably still lose.
You know, Tony loves Adam Cole. So
yeah, but it's to me it's so weird because it's been such a hard and obvious pivot from the Undisputed Kingdom. Taven and Bennett have lost the tag titles. Cole has been out forever. Cole spent more of the past. I almost want to say Cole spent more of the past 4 years on the sidelines than he has in ring. And that's crazy to think about. He's up there with Keith Lee. Spent more time on the outside than in ring.
Yeah. Sorry, I get distracted by something. But
go ahead.
No, I mean, literally, dude. I think that is the dilemma with all of this is like Cole used to be a big deal. Where do you go with him? How do you bring him back into the fold? I mean, maybe he comes back, but it has nothing to do with MJF or Osprey at all. But where do you slot him in? And again, I mean, I think there's a collection of, I honestly believe this. I think there's a collection of wrestlers in AEW that are perfectly fine and can wrestle that are hurt because they're on that Tony Khan pension plan. Like,
WCW. Right? It's amazing how that works. I was going to more make the comparable of, how, well, I like this. Yeah, YouTube police of, I'm here to arrest Big Nick and KJ White for being way too awesome.
I feel like
guilty, Your Honor, guilty. I plead guilty.
Like someone sent us a strippergram of like, you're guilty of being too sexy.
Right. There,
sorry, you were saying
with a little bumping ride.
Right, yes, there is. How hurt is Miro? He's not.
Right, but it's a little bit of just constantly. Everybody seems to keep getting hurt. Like, it's funny you mentioned about like Adam. Well, I don't even know if you mentioned, but I was just my brain thought of like when Adam Cole and Danielson both returned, and those were the big shocking debuts for AEW.
Yeah,
and everything, the big signees. And now it almost feels like both of them might almost be ending their careers sooner rather than later in AEW. Like, it's really weird of how it's this weird situation with signees and debuts and everything with AEW. But Osprey wins this match, by the way. When it comes crashing down and it hurts inside.
Is it because of what Damien has said on the screen here, my friend?
Daniel Garcia, MJF, all out. Well, I've seen the uptick of Daniel Garcia might be more like they thought they had that fish in the boat, and it might be still, trying to reel it in.
Oh, he'll get an extra zero from Tony. Don't worry. He'll milk another few bucks out of Tony.
Just you thrust. When you thrust, I thrust. When I thrust, you thrust.
I would love if someone was ballsy enough from AEW to report how many of the wrestlers have not pushed the fucking price tag up. Like, another thing with Ricochet, right? Like Tony, like if the WWE is like, listen, we'll give you, a few years. This is where we on our pay scale based on everybody. We're going to give you this much. And Tony's like, oh, bro, I'll give you this much. And it's 6 times, 7 times, 8 times what the WWE's offering. It's hard to say no. More money, less dates. Hey.
No, 100%. But I still think it's like we've talked about it. Like, is Garcia ever a world title holder?
No.
Is Ricky Starks? Well, Ricky Starks could have been a world title holder, but I think they fumbled the fucking shit out of that bag. and I hate that I even use the term fumble because IWC, and I even hate that term. Can we all just agree to stop overusing fucking terms? It makes it insufferable.
An absolute giant collection of copycats. Stop it. Have an original thought. Don't just say the same thing 17 other people have already said.
My guy, trust me. We're out here like the lady feeding the birds. We're out here just
right. To me, Daniel Garcia showing up in the middle of one of your greatest matches in the company's history is a real fucking oops. It is the equivalent of, being at the fucking 5-yard line in a clear fucking path and dropping the ball.
No,
like this is fucking bad. If you have this epic, if say you're right, they go 75 minutes, Nick, and at the 74th minute, fucking Daniel Garcia drills MJF with a chair, and that's how Osprey hits the Tiger Driver, and we all go home.
Yeah, I got part of there to where I think that's where we're gonna go. They're gonna go a good minute, I feel. And I do think Osprey is going to win this with the Tiger Driver. You don't throw in a Daniel Garcia. You don't add seasoning to an already seasoned meal.
But you don't put cinnamon in your fucking pasta dish. That's
I mean, it depends on how many vitamins you smoke.
Maybe a little, but
you ever want some pumpkin spice pasta?
Right.
I got a recipe.
Yeah, no shit. But you know what I mean. Like,
100%. To me,
if you're gonna add seasoning, the seasoning's got to go along with what you're doing, right? Like,
this 100% is going to have season. This 100%. This to me, like I said, if this match is going to simmer saute, this could be match of this probably will be match of the card, potentially match of the year, what have you. I dare say I want to already put it out there. This will outdo the first match that they had. And I think they will build up, hopefully good to the storytelling to where, now granted, how do you feel about the story with the Tiger Driver? Because I think that's what wins this match. He hits the Tiger Driver.
They gave that away already.
1, 2, 3. What?
They gave that away already. That's the issue. That's my biggest issue is like the Danielson moment wasn't necessary because we already know. And again, Danielson competed in an Anarchy in the Arena match right after the whole Tiger Driver thing. He didn't miss any time. He wasn't on the shelf. He was fine.
So then can you at least, as I do like that from the Keebler Alpha of saying we're fudging cool. Can I get some fudge stripe cookies or at least, they're not Samoas, but they're, Hawaiians or whatever. They're Tongan cookies there with the caramel and the coconut and everything.
30 to 45 minutes tops.
No, this goes longer. Like this almost felt like it could have had an Iron Man, a last man standing stipulation.
But is that not where so the first match goes, especially because the MJF won, the first match goes 35, 40 minutes, say. And now you're like, you know what? We almost went an hour. Let's make the pay-per-view 60-minute Iron Man match.
Yes and no, but I do like even with the first one with this, it went literally 59-58 of when's the last time you saw that? Like, honestly, my guy, like
I thought it was great. Like,
that was like, honestly, that's a strong contender for me for match of the year already as that is. So to expect that this will outdo that to me is a big statement for me. Granted, I'm a huge fan of both these guys.
Yes.
But
I just
the 59-58 could have worked this way into this being a last man standing. Or anything, but if they announce that this has no time limit, what have you, this goes of this is really going to show. I think they're going to burn this motherfucker down because this is literally two of the best going right now, and especially two of the best in AEW, and they're literally going to go out there and show why they are the fucking best. Like this to me is the do not click away, do not step away, do not turn away match of the night, the weekend, what have you. This will be the match that we're all talking about 2-3 months down the road. Like when we talk about All In, this is the match we talk about.
Or it's the one that breaks your heart, and we're still talking about it. That's the high wire. That's the dance with this one. It's either going to match what we've already seen and surpass it, or we're going to be talking about the Dynamite match more than we're talking about this one. That becomes their dilemma. Last time we saw them in the ring together, MJF needed oxygen. What are these going to need this time? Are we going to bring out a fucking gurney for them and cart them off? Maybe a good idea.
Amphetamines.
Right? You got to find a way to outdo, right? If he just leaves with no oxygen, it was an easier match. But
I mean, that's a little hyperbolic here, Mike. That's a little hyperbolic.
When you set the bar too high, man, it's tough.
Yeah, but I mean, like, do you? So I'll ask you: do you honestly, right now, think that this match will be less than the match we got on Dynamite? Not like I understand you want it to be and everything, but do you, in your heart of hearts, think that this will be less than the match we got?
I'm worried that they can't pole vault over the height they set. They're going to be the French and bang their dick.
They set the bar too high and they can't reach it. They're too busy hanging dong.
Yeah, like they set the bar. Now they need to eclipse it, and I want them to, guys. I swear, if Sunday they can outdo what they already did, it might be hands down the first time we ever give out a for lifey in August. Like, here you go. You can just have
you end the match.
Yeah,
and you are not going to be here. But I think this has the potential to be that.
And this could be a pivotal moment for AEW as an entire company. Your biggest show of the year to your arguably your two biggest stars. And this could be that moment that Griffith
the Forrest Griffin Stephen Bonner
moment. Holy fuck, I couldn't say his name at all. But Bonner moment where everybody has to see it. Everybody has to tune in and catch it. This could be huge if they can overcome the bar they've already set. I'm there.
And that's fine. I do give you credit to where you're kind of like curtailing it of like, I don't want to expect that. And if they do better than that, that's great.
Yeah.
I almost expect that of like, I want that. I feel like this has so much that potential to be like you said. And actually, I didn't even think about it. That's the perfect comparable of everybody wants to talk about AEW getting that vibe, that feel, that energy back of when it was a couple years ago and everything. Of if this match right now, even after what they had before, is your Stephen Bonner, your Forrest Griffin match, your holy shit, you're playing this back.
Yeah.
You know, today, tomorrow, the next day, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, what have you, then you are made in the shade with lemonade.
Yeah. And listen, and you have an opportunity. If you have a plan and you can execute, you're going to follow that up with, in 2 weeks, you're going to get Osprey Pac. They have a chance to burn the fucking building down. Then you have, you can follow that up with Ricochet Osprey if you want, down the line. You are starting now, you're getting all these clippable matches, all these, matches with a different vibe, a different feel to it that are bringing audiences back because they want to see this different, higher level, work rate to the max match. I think it's got a lot of potential. We'll see if they can pull it off.
So, and I just really quickly while you're talking went into this because last year's All In ended with MJF versus Adam Cole for the AEW World Championship. Does MJF Osprey have the potential, or should it, could it, would it outdo last year's MJF match? Does it outdo last year's event?
As long as
that's when you got the devil reveal of he turn and all that.
I didn't think it was that good. Again, I wasn't like, I thought there was a couple really good things at All In last year, but I thought overall it was a very unamusing pay-per-view. I found myself bored for a lot of it.
It was more the moment than it was the show. It was more the movement than anything.
Yeah, it was mid. And there was matches like that one that disappointed, and it was more of about the silliness. And again, if MJF is the closest to it, but I'm a little worried with this over-the-top American gimmick, and then you lose, and then you come back to the States. do you keep being pro like USA?
No, please don't. Please don't. It's
Oh
already
wait,
bad. It's already
so
bad.
but is it not a really fucked up kind of weird bad look and doesn't help MJF at all in his career? But he literally went MAGA for like fucking 4 weeks, and now what? He shows up.
This has all been kind of like I said. To me, it's
That's crazy.
The biggest fumble with this. Of you didn't know how to book MJF as a heel when he was your greatest heel for like 3 years of your company.
Yeah.
And you just randomly forgot it. To me, this whole feud never needed patriotism attached to it. What this really came down to of who's the best in the world. And that's really what this should have been, because again, that's what the whole crux of this is, of Osprey saying, you know, I'm better than you, bruv. And then you've got MJF saying, I'm better than you, and you know it. That's what the crux of this whole feud is, and what is ultimately the best way to go about with a wrestling angle of who's better than who. It's the tale as old as time. It's tale as old as sport. Of how can I outdo you? Who's better? Who's, when we go fucking toe to toe on that line, who's better? And that's really what this should have been, versus patriotism, versus election year, versus we're going to the UK of cheap fucking low hanging fruit.
That's what a lot of MJF, even some of the comments. I thought Will Osprey on last night killed it. The only mistake they made, and again, it's not their fault, it's production, where I don't like doing that long, like you did like these long monologues, and then when they started going back and forth, it really heated up. So if you wrote it better where they were kind of going back and forth like the whole time, it would have been a lot, it wouldn't have felt so long. They went an entire
but
segment.
But I'll still ask you, how much of their back and forth really involved patriotism, or was it more of I'm better than you, I'm better than you? That's the thing. That's the crux. That's the anchor of this whole argument. And it's got this weird facade of patriotism, which doesn't work because it's never been MJF's thing and it's never been Osprey's thing.
Yeah. Well, it's like with Jericho. Like, did you bump your head? Like, why did you wake up today? And we've been watching you for all this time. Yeah, like he banged his fucking head off a dashboard, and went, anyway. But like it's like MJF, like, wait, we've been watching you for all these years, and all of a sudden today you show up and you're like, do
America, coming again to save the motherfucking day.
Like, did you get pulled into a rally by accident? Like, did you what happened? Like, what the fuck happened? So again. But again, for my money, I don't see how you let MJF leave Wembley with that belt. I mean, it would be one of the biggest heel holy shit moments, period. But this Osprey, I mean, I hate to be
Osprey does the JOB twice at Wembley.
No way.
No.
And again, they set it up. Osprey's gonna grab him and hit that Tiger Driver, and that's gonna be your end. You finally overcame the fear.
This is a great match, but is this match only here because they heard too much of the rumors that they were going to do Osprey versus Swerve, and Osprey was going to win the title then? Like, did they course correct so much that they backslid into a good feud?
Yes and no, because I still think there was a way that, again, I still think this should be MJF versus Will Osprey for the world title. That match overshadows a match that Danielson could retire in. Shit. And the same thing with your women. The titles are backwards. Your highest paid fucking brand new shiny toy has come in, and she's on the mid. She's got the mid card title. But then the other storyline, we treat it like it's mid card. So I think in both cases, male and female, the titles are backwards. But yeah, I mean, listen, if I don't know, you might burn out the crowd, but you do these two matches back to back, co-main event, that's almost an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes of amazing wrestling.
I think, actually, shit. Now, so last thing, if we're gonna do this, and everything, we've already gone
forever. This is
forever. But Osprey MJF is going middle of the show. Like it's one of those.
Osprey MJF's going middle of the show.
If you're doing that, or you're doing MJ, or you're doing Danielson Swerve middle of the show, like one of those is going. So then, what you're gonna split? You're gonna
bookend them.
You're gonna have an hour match. That's your so either way, but so think about this. Either way, how you do this, you would have Swerve and Danielson either go before or after Osprey MJF. Hell no.
What do you mean? I'm gonna open the show.
That is way too much.
No, but you're gonna open the show with Danielson and Swerve. And you're going to close the show with MJF
with your world title.
You have to, because you can. The bigger match is MJF Osprey, and you can't put MJF Osprey in the middle of the show, especially if it's going to go an hour.
Then you put Swerve Danielson there. I don't think.
No, it's more. What's better, to start the show or go in the middle? If you said I said put the world champion first, and you said put him in the middle. I'd rather have my champion start the show.
Now I'm trying to look at
the belts are backwards.
Well, yeah. Now I'm trying to look at what's on the. Do you start with Mercedes and Britt?
That would be a flat fucking start.
Start with Tony and Mariah May. Like, it's one of those of just, to me. I know what I know is the one that's like, well, if you're not going to go on last, you go on first. But like, you start like, honestly, if you started with MJF and Osprey, and you just did it they're gonna fucking go until they go, and they go over an hour and everything like that. That's not a terrible.
That's horrible.
That's real. What?
That is, dude. If they go,
who do you want to start then?
I just told you, Danielson Swerve.
So you start with your world title?
Yes, I feel like I'm having deja vu.
Yes, you are.
Yes, because if the theory is correct, and MJF and Osprey are going to go 60 minutes, or are going to have this big epic match that's going to outdo the last one, and then you follow it with Swerve and Danielson, poor, I don't know. And then if you run an hour match to start the show, by the time you get to the end of that first match, you're going to have a real hard time keeping people tiled in for 9 more matches. That's insane.
Do you do it in a period to where you have that, and then you follow it up with like a Jericho hook, and you follow it up with some of these, you can go to the bathroom matches, right? You get a pause for the calls in between that, because that's I don't know about starting the show with your world title.
It happens a lot in the other.
It happens in WWE when they have multiple world titles. This has one world title.
It depends how you look at it. Tony's looking at these titles as kind of, they feel like they're on par. And what's the bigger match? What's the bigger match? What's the bigger hype? What's the bigger draw for this particular show? It's 100% MJF and Osprey.
So then Mercedes starts it off. Mercedes and Breaker, or Britt.
What about the Bucks? You get the Bucks in and out to start the show.
We know you want to go home fast. If you take the 410, if you catch the flight now, you can make it back to Cucamonga. Yeah.
Right. Oh, there you go. Gauntlet match opener. Interesting.
That, to me, honestly, if we actually had a decent pre-show match between Stat and Willow, that you could have just had the Gauntlet match be the pre-show. That's your pre-show right there.
Yeah. Danielson and Swerve going second to last works for me. But I
wouldn't stack them. I see what you're saying, but I wouldn't stack them. Like, they need separation.
Put the Hook Jericho match right in between them. They also have, that could be
just death. Right?
Like the Swerve match ends, and then fucking Fozzy comes out, and everybody just empty.
Just everybody leaves.
40,
death.
50,000 people at the snack bars have never been so overrun in our lives.
They've never sold more English breakfast ever.
Do you do like Swerve Danielson, then the Bucks, then Osprey, MJF? The only reason why I'm really hung up is you can't do an hour match and then follow it up. I don't think you can follow that.
That's why I almost wonder if you start it there and then you go into fuckery, you go into a Jericho, you go into now. Granted, that's a very dynamite booking, but yeah, like that's the thing is they have some shit that's really gonna swing. Like honestly, I think regardless of how we feel, I think Jack Perry versus Darby Allin is going to be a good match that we want to pay attention to.
You could open that. They might open with that match. They were a pre-show.
That's not a bad shot either. It's really going to be interesting to see how they do this, and I'm just glad that to me, AEW's found their version of a WrestleMania. And it's all in.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that at all. He'll open. You know what though? I'd be okay. You open the show with Fozzy, dude. If you start the show with Fozzy, I'm gonna.
You are beautiful. No, they'd have to cover a Queen song. Buddy, oh, a boy, man.
Yeah, I mean, again, they did that last year.
All we hear is Radio Gaga, Radio Googa.
Yeah, I mean, again, Tony Khan's got a bit of a good problem to have if you're the booker of where to put all these. It makes sense. And again, the only reason why I'm hesitant with the MJF placement is because if they're going to outdo that first match they had and be the match of the year, like you really believe, you can't have anything follow it. It's got to shut it down.
And that's fine. And I again just ultimately hope, Tony, don't fuck with the card. We are literally at this point, we're arguing literally over what could go here and what could go there.
Right.
Because you've got a good collection. Just let it cook. You got all the ingredients. Just let it simmer, saute, and just don't try and over-season the motherfucker at this point.
How about now that's the other side of it. I don't know that they're going to go an hour. But are you okay? So
I think, and to me, it just makes sense to me. I know that it's a little bit of hopium booking and everything, but to me, it would make the most sense of if you're only going to do a 2-match story, because I feel like this is going to be a 2-match story.
Yeah,
that's how you do it. You have the one that's literally by the skin of your teeth, by the hair of your chin and chin, and then the second one is when he has to pull out the move that he wouldn't do. He who shall not be named, shows up. He hits the Tiger Driver. And even in that potentially sends MJF to where he's got to heal up a little bit. Like we saw Seth Rollins get taken out by Bronson Reed. Because MJF was dealing with a whole bunch of shit before he showed up.
Nick, for the record, Billy Goat steals it. It was 50-50 in the chat poll. When I ended it, somebody snuck in a last minute vote.
I'm so lost as to what's happening.
On the poll, it was 50-50. Billy Goat eked it out by 1%.
Salute the poll. Who's Billy? What are we going on about? Billy Goat, who?
Osprey's going to beat MJF, according to
okay. All right. For halfway for part of that, I thought I was like Jack Perry. All right, cool.
Now, what I would do, you start the show with the gauntlet match. Ricochet wins the gauntlet match, and you end the show the way I described. As Ricochet, the new #1 contender, comes out and stands nose to nose with Will Osprey, and everybody freaks out. And I know I said earlier, keep them apart.
But it's not for a title. It wouldn't be for a title.
What do you mean?
Oh no, it'd be for the fucking Continental. So he shows up and he wins the #1 contender for the international title. He doesn't challenge for the world title.
Well, if the dude in the chat was correct, he'd let him do whatever he wants. But I still like the idea of Ricochet and and Osprey kind of having a
I think we
moment.
get there. I think we've talked about this. Of you
just a teaser.
Don't get there out the gate because that's the obvious choice.
Right. How many matches at All In? Probably 10 to 15. We'll find out.
Stop saying 15. Right now it is 10.
Yeah, I thought All Out was better than All In last year. So we'll see how they turn it around. These two pay-per-views 2 weeks apart are not great. And then 2 weeks later, or 2.5 weeks later, Grand Slam, and then like another 4 weeks after that, you're into Wrestle.
You're stacking too much in a row.
It's too much.
It's like, how can we do 2 nights of WrestleMania but not be 2 nights? We'll just be 2 weeks instead of 2 nights. Because think about it, most of All Out is predicated on what happens at All In.
Yeah, just make it like make it a 2-night event instead of 2 separate weekends. That's not bad.
I mean, am I wrong in saying that one precedes and placates the other? Like one sets up the other.
Well, we're 2 weeks away from a pay-per-view that we haven't even talked about yet, because your biggest pay-per-view of the year is happening now. Like it's a bit, if you were anybody involved in marketing or anything like that would know that that's not a good schedule.
Could they do
not a good way?
Could you see though, instead of they forego the All Out, or even they do it of a 2-night event, a la WrestleMania, to where we get an All In and an All Out, and that's instead of calling it a night 1 and a night 2, they
call it All In and All Out.
All Out.
Yeah.
Of where we could see some of these matches get split across both shows. Then if we get an hour Osprey MJF, that might carry over into All Out. That's the next night and everything, or vice versa. You can split up that shit a little bit. You get 5 or so matches per night.
Yeah, 12 men.
You got the format right there.
So far, yeah. No, I mean, again, it's not a bad shout. I mean, again, I would prefer it over 2 separate weekends, and then this way you don't have to. Again, we're going to get a whole lot of, like, for the next 2 Dynamites, we're going to get nothing but brawls and fights and everyone like the same shit. No build, no, other than a couple matches that will bleed over. We'll find out. Yeah, but we've gone epically long. Like, this is insane.
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, we remind everybody we will be live Sunday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, brunch with the boys. All In. It's going to be a fun one. Those are our predictions. Those are what we think is going to. That's all the things we think about it. There's actually nothing else we think about it. But tomorrow night we are back for SmackDown, Rampage. Saturday we got Collision.
Emergence.
And what?
We have Emergence on Friday too, as well.
That's next Friday, bro.
See, my bad.
Come on, Thelma. We will make it to the end. Yeah, no, we got Saturday we got Collision, and I think we're gonna do something else as well. Sunday. Then all week long we head towards Bash at Berlin, No Mercy. We are busy here at the channel, working on bringing you more. Thank you for participating. Thank you for your predictions. Don't forget, be a friend, tell a friend, follow us on social, and all of that fun stuff. I'm done. I'm tapping out. Before Nick says,
I'll learn to shut up. Our shit is real. Our shit is real. Our shit is all authentic. When you're talking about that wrestling, put that for life with it.
See you on the flip side. Come back tomorrow.